I think Japan did that a few times already.
That's just very big props.
I'm not sure we want it, yeah. Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 498, Mecha, the Rise and Fall of Giant Robots. This is from Giguk, the guy we talked about a few episodes ago. And he was in this. He was part of a three-man podcast thing, and he was talking about another topic. But he was one of the more well-known faces of that podcast. And
okay.
He did not like Disney very much. But now he's going to be talking about the genre, the entire main genre of mecha. And this is a video from like 4 years ago, so obviously it's changed. And there's been mecha anime announced every year. So the same with manga. It's not going away. People like
it. Isn't still like a new Gundam series every year?
There's so many. There's more than one.
Yeah, I know. That's like the main point. Like I can't get into Gundam because I don't know like where to start.
Well, it depends because there's so many.
We were told last time we talked about this, about some recommendations, and I forgot again. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
and I just don't.
The thing is, there's not too many stories that are specifically about mecha. Like I remember watching one this year called Muv-Luv, which was based off a visual novel romance time travel plot. But
I've heard the name.
Yeah, it's the one for TV is called Muv-Luv Alternative, which I think is a sequel or a prequel. I don't remember exactly which. And they made it into an anime, and it's pretty much the destruction of humanity, and we're trying to prevent that. This guy goes back in time to figure out, or back to another dimension, which is also partially back in time. I can't remember. And he's trying to figure out the differences and why and how does he figure out to stop the invasion of these alien forces. But that's just one. There's about 5 or 6 Gundams that were announced this year alone.
Okay, so completely average, standard, run-of-the-mill manga plot.
It's based off a dating sim / visual novel, whatever you want to call that format, that was popular like 15 years ago. And
see, that's what I love about the Japanese. They put effort into their porn.
Well, and it's like, oh, we have a story, just the thing that we might want to sell that came out by this guy 20 years ago. Let's just call him up. He'd be like, really? You want to make my game into an anime? Cool. And there's a manga already, of course. So there's always some niche in manga that is going to be popular. And I don't know how it's been because I haven't really watched particular anime or read manga that have the mecha in it. It's always off to the side, or you're in a fantasy world and they build a mecha in it because I don't know, they just do. So it's really Gundam is the main one that we all sort of recognize. Macross comes up here and there, but not as often. So
I have a question. How far do we define the mecha genre? Is it just giant robot, or does it need to be piloted?
That's a good question, because you could talk about like Attack on Titan, which is basically mecha, but they're not.
Well, that's
techno.
That's the weird biomecha thing. Which Evangelion falls into as well.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
Is sort of the subversion feeling-ish, because you think, it's a giant robot, and then, oh god, organic parts.
It's a bit of both, really, because we could talk about Escaflowne, which is also similar to that, especially the movie version, which is really like just completely organic with metal armor on top.
Classic, please watch.
There's all kinds. There's really all kinds, and I guess it's not as popular. I know the one that was announced, they're doing a remake of the original 1982 from 40 years ago or whatever of Gundam. So they're also doing one which is for my taste, because I like certain flavors of Gundam, Gundam 00, and it's the period of time between season 1 and season 2, which is weird. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but like I've never heard of. Let's do a story which is in between like Star Trek episode seasons like 4 to 5. It's like, what? Why would you do that?
Hey, as long as it's not a sequel to Gary 7, I'm okay with it.
Oh no, yeah, no Gary Sevens or Bewitched or any of those weird 70s shows. I don't know who those are for. Let's combine a show. They still did that in the 80s and 90s with what were those other shows like Xena Warrior Princess and Hercules. They crossed a lot.
Oh man.
What other shows did that? Was it The Pretender, I think, and some other show? Oh, it's been a while. I can't remember the names of these shows. But they do a lot of cross promotion with Law and Order and all the various groups in CSI and what was that crazy? It's still on the Crazy Popular show. That's also dealing with the American military organization and their detective organization as well. And they changed the head guy, Gibbs. They changed Leroy Jethro Gibbs. He's no longer on the show because he's retired, I think. So they got the guy who plays the Office Space boss, the guy with the glasses. He's now the head.
Oh no.
Yeah. They got him.
Not him.
Yeah, it's great. I was like, hey, I know that voice. I know that dude. And then you have to like figure him out. It's like, oh, he's also the guy who played the captain on Crusade, the Babylon 5 spinoff. So, NCIS, that was the show that did a few crossovers because there's a whole bunch of other NCIS shows. Yeah. So
Chat also says that really old mecha were remote controlled, like Tetsujin 28. Never heard of that one.
I tend to think of Appleseed. I tend to think of those original 80s shows that...
Does Power Rangers fall into that when the Zords combine?
That is technically yes, but it's its own genre. Like it's part. That's like a flavor of the genre because you could have super...
Is it the subgenre?
Yeah, that's what I mean. When you have like mecha, I'm reading a manga that's a fantasy. It's an isekai, but in that there's mecha. They build one. And it's stupid, but it's fantasy, so whatever. So, Pat Labor Tank Police. There's a great example. Thanks from Tyrannus Panther. There's all kinds of great mecha / very high tech oriented police or military stories in anime and manga. So, I don't think it's going away anytime soon. People love that stuff. It's just not.
It's always a fun trope.
I remember,
there was one of the Slayers movies. Does a spin on the mecha idea by making mechas of the main characters, Lina and Naga.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that they are remote controlled and they fight. It's really stupid.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, well, this is Gigak. He has really good videos, and we're going to see his wonderful take on the mecha genre as a whole.
When we think of objects that are synonymous with Japan and anime, not much can beat these symbolic metallic behemoths that have cemented themselves into history. Mecha as a genre is one that's captured the hearts of fans for decades and has a history almost as rich and expansive as the medium of anime itself. Love it or hate it, there are a few things that are as iconic for anime, and even if you don't consider yourself a mecha fan, it's more than likely that one of your favorite series has its roots from this genre. In recent times, however, the sad reality is that whilst mecha by no means died out, it's not even close to being the medium-defining titan it once was. Sure, you may see a show or two pop up here and there,
so
and
many
Gundam
new
has had its
genres.
steady stream of shows seemingly forever, but nothing's really broken out from the sphere of the dedicated.
That's what I would add here, that we have so many new genres and subgenres that there could be just as much mecha as before, but there's so much more other stuff now that it looks like it's less.
Yeah,
it's like,
maybe like today is like the time of or era of the isekai.
Yeah, exactly.
Isekai seems to be like picked up like the
that's
main
the
spot
kind
of,
of
like everyone
one.
is trying to make one.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and that leads to, we've talked about this before, that leads to creative twists on it. At least Japanese do twists on the stuff, at least.
Yes, they experiment a lot.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to what's gonna be the next big thing. Will it be something wholly original, or will it be some neglected genre or subgenre be birthed out of a subgenre of one of these previous ones that has such an interesting twist that the twist itself becomes the new genre, and a really, really big one that then pushes out isekai.
We all know it will start off as a guy in a high school, and there's a cute girl, and then something happens, and then it's a mecha. It's a mecha story, or it's a isekai story, or
maybe we'll go back to something holy sci-fi, where it's all holy fantasy. I would be up for holy sci-fi, where it's no humans and it's solely sci-fi races on distant worlds.
Oh yeah, and they're all programmed to like clean the litter, but there's no litter, so they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. There's nothing to do.
Whatever, just alien races with no humans at all.
Yeah.
Just new worlds. Here's new world.
Near Automata.
Here's a story with it.
But they're all bakers, but no one's eating the bread, so they just keep throwing it out and making more.
Okay, you're thinking more Japanese than I am.
Yeah, you can go crazy with these stories. Japan is known for just making these weird environments and putting a spin on them.
Yeah, but as a comparison to that, people think that strategy, especially real-time strategy, is dead as a genre. No. That is declining or going away because nobody's playing it. The thing is, from what we can tell from the data, from how many games are played, and the big tournaments may yield less money, but there are, for StarCraft 2 alone, more players than there were 10 years ago. And, 10 years ago, let's say 5 years ago.
And that's the same argument we say with esports.
There are tons of other, and there are other real-time strategy games coming out.
Right, so we look at the rise of
Northgard, and then
of MOBA, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's basically that came from the RTS.
I don't want to. MOBA is its own thing. I don't want to count that into strategy. MOBA is more tactics.
The same argument we were saying about Mecha is not as popular because nowadays there's so much everything else. And now we have MOBA, which has dominated esports. Not to say there aren't Royal, what are those first or third person shooter Royal, what is it?
Battle Royales.
Battle Royales, yeah. Like there's so much else. So it's like you can only pay attention to so much, and it's sort of diluting the size of other franchises.
Yeah, and it's that since back when strategy was really, really big, it was because the number of people who played video games was comparatively small. There was a small portion of the population, and it was the enthusiasts, the people who were into complex things, who were already using computers, so they already had they were technologically ahead of other people, had probably more interest in technology, does complex things, complicated things, puzzle type things, and therefore strategy. And nowadays everyone plays, so that is just one part of it, but it's still a big part. Quantitatively it's bigger than it was. And then we have this other strategy genre, the stuff that Matthews plays all the time, Europa Universalis, and
the 4Xs. Yeah.
What they're called? Yeah, the big four. I don't think it's a 4X game, but no. It is a 4X. It is a 4X game. I was just thinking hex tiles.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And that is constantly growing. You'd think these games, it's been played out and people are done with it. No, since release, constantly more players. For I don't know how old these games are by now, but they just keep growing slowly and steadily. This strategy isn't going away.
Right.
You just need to know what this niche of players of gamers want, and you will make a hit.
Right. It's kind of
Mecha like in anime is the same.
It's kind of like when you have that big name like XCOM 2 for turn-based. It's not to say the turn-based gamers aren't around anymore, but that's the big game that people say, okay, everyone has to play this now. It just came out. It just got its DLC or what have you, and that dominates the next year or two of that genre. And then a bunch of smaller studios make other RTSs or other similar games like that, like real time with pause, or maybe actually mobile games that are turn based. Who knows? And that they try to cash in on that because people like turn based, but that takes a while for the next XCOM game to come out or another thing from the same studio. And then we got like the XCOM, it was in a city, like it was like city warfare or whatever between alien species, which did not do as well as the original XCOM 2. So it's like, okay, it's not as big a hit. It's still XCOM, but they made changes that aren't as attractive. So it's the same idea with StarCraft or with Diablo. When the next Diablo comes out, yeah, it's a big polished game, but Diablo 3 was a big jump from Diablo 2 in terms of what the heck it was trying to do.
And that's why it failed.
It turned off some players, but it didn't die. It's still around, and they're going to keep.
It didn't die because the brand name was so big.
Yeah,
but it essentially, for what it should have been, failed, and that's why they a few years, I think 3 years in. Correct me if I'm wrong. They replaced the game designer and the new guy, who was, I think, an old classic dude, revamped the whole game design, basically made it a different game, and then people liked it. But it won't get me because I just played some demo of it, of the broken thing, and I just said, ugh, what the hell is this? I'm gonna play Torchlight. Go away.
Yeah, I remember when I was at one of my old jobs years and years ago. This a dude I knew was married. This Korean dude, a friend of mine. He's like, yeah, he has a wife, and we play Diablo 3 all the time. It's like, really? It just came out 8 months ago. It's like, oh no, it's amazing. It's okay. I thought that was cute. That they got people to play the games together. But again, there's something for everyone. Torchlight's a great example of a thing, of another thing which is more popular but ends up being more fun to play. It's great. Same with manga, same with anime.
Torchlight?
Yeah.
Torchlight is made by the original Diablo makers.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
It's a refined version of Diablo 2, if you will.
Yeah, it's the same genre of game. It's just a different, obviously lower production value. It's not as big as Diablo 3, but the quality and the fun for the hardcore players are like, oh, this is exactly what I want. So
much better.
So this, like mecha anime, it's a very specific niche, and then there's all those subgenres of mecha that people can still appreciate mecha anime in. And we listed a whole bunch before. So anyway, let's get on with the video.
Mecha fandom. How did such a genre titan fade from the mainstream anime consensus? What journey did this titular genre take to get here? With such a rich history, there's an interesting story to be told here. One so expansive there's no way I can fit absolutely everything in this video, but I will try my best. So strap in your seatbelts because it's going to be a long one, as it's a tale that dates back to the roots of anime itself. One that starts in the 1950s, on the back of a pretty anime as we know it, without...
We gotta slow that down just for reasons of copyright.
Oh god,
yeah, there's a lot of copyright music, even the
yeah.
Black Sabbath, Iron Man was there.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, this should be fine. This is okay. Oh no. Okay.
Goodbye ad revenue.
Yeah, it's gone.
Mentioning the events of a bloke with a weird mustache deciding he hated the Jews one day and attempting to fight the entire world to prove that point. And more importantly, the aftermath from it. Given how much an event like 9/11 influenced modern media today, you can only imagine how huge a cultural impact of having two massive bombs dropped on your country would be.
Yeah, okay, the argument that bombs created anime again, I hope not. I really hope this is not going this direction.
It's just a joke.
This is if you want to make the Gogeta argument, okay. But then we get Mecha Gogeta.
Oh dear. Conflict breeds strength, guys. Drop some bombs on some countries, see what happens. Like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, and then you get Godzilla movies.
I would love to see the war in Ukraine escalate just to see how stupid this idea is. What are we gonna get? Like really good Kishka in 10 years' time from Ukraine? This blood sausage tastes amazing. You guys really work under pressure when you get irradiated like that. It's like, what?
The Kiev chicken is going to be excellent.
What's special about that? What do you make that with?
I don't know.
Yeah. Chicken a la king. It's the same everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. It's just wrapped cheese or whatever and chicken. That's all it is.
What?
Don't worry about it. It's just stuffed chicken. Don't worry.
I just want to get new episodes of Critic.
Oh, okay. Maybe they'll start their own animation studio in Ukraine, like 20 years later. I don't know.
A new anime studio in Ukraine.
Yeah,
next to the biolabs of the US.
If Ukraine is still around, I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, let's not talk about that.
And this was certainly reflected in the story about to begin.
Oh boy! Oh, so much music. Oh jeez.
He's not even gonna talk about Cyborg 009. Like, I mean, like, okay, like if you mentioned like Astro Boy, like supposedly the star of this genre, I think like he could like definitely mention like Cyborg 009 because that's essentially like the same thing too.
Yeah.
Like, you make like cyborgs and then I think like they also like have some mechas in there. I can't remember because it's like all over the place.
Yeah, they're gonna eventually jump into Voltron and Gatchaman and a bunch of other really like 70s, 80s productions. That is that Voltron on the screen? I can't tell.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while. Okay, I totally missed Ron Harushin's tip. Thank you, sir. That's great. Would have joined you guys for this one, but seeing the comments in this video gave me an aneurysm, and honestly, I couldn't be unbiased against Giguk because I'm not a fan of this guy. You know what? That's totally cool. I know you.
I can totally understand that.
Yeah,
I'm like in pain right now.
Yeah,
I would just be happy if people didn't use this weird side filter and just use black bars.
Well, he's getting around copyright, right? So this is one of the techniques for video and audio. I don't know why he's using copyright audio though. That's really weird. He would have been hit really quick. Like, can you imagine all his old videos getting hit nowadays because they just scan everything now and just boom, every freaking video he made gets caught.
If you only use like 3 or 4 seconds of the audio, the system doesn't recognize you. I got over it. Like, I used the Caramel Dancing music for only 4 or 5 seconds in my latest video, and it just didn't recognize it at all.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, like, I have this kind of power.
Yeah, in Germany, someone trolled the copyright institution here, the GEMA, by creating a piece of sound. I don't remember, it wasn't very long, but every few microseconds it would be another copyrighted song. And since you have to declare all of the stuff used, he then drove a truck full of pages of what was used in that audio file there for them to cross-check. More of an art action, but than anything real. But it was supposed to show how stupid the copyright system here is.
Alrighty. Someone's telling me in the chat that is Mazinger Z, not Grandizer. They're very similar, but yes, I think you're right. Alright, let's go. Alright, okay, good.
Tetsujin 28 Go may have laid the groundwork, but the 70s saw the floodgates open, with numerous ideas being introduced for the very first time that would become the defining tropes of the genre. And right at the forefront was Go Nagai, the same man who everyone decided to start paying attention to again thanks to his influential work being adapted in Devilman Crybaby. As far as Mecha is concerned, however, there's arguably none more important than his implementation of the very first time a series depicted a robot being piloted from inside the machine itself. Mazinger Z took what Tetsujin had begun and firmly defined what super robots meant as a genre. As before this, the robots were either sentient beings as with Astro Boy and Giant Robo, or in Tetsujin's case, it was controlled remotely with a handset. For what may seem like an obvious and unimportant development to some, the matter of the fact is this is part of the criteria we now use to define what a mech actually is. A humanoid machine being piloted from within. This new idea firmly established what would define this decade. This was the era of giant mechanical superheroes rocket punching, hand drilling, and chest lasering their way through a week-on-week assembly line of evil villains and monsters. The shows that came along to capitalize on the popularity and development brought about by the likes of Mazinger Z and Getter Robo began to define the episodic Monster of the Week format we're so familiar with in anime. It was a decade of brightly colored mecha shows for children, and thus began the other aspect that would go hand in hand with the genre: merchandising. Every single one of these shows was marketed from the ground up with the intent to sell robot toys to kids, and it was this aspect that would decide whether or not a show was successful. This factor would stick with the genre to this day, and merchandising would become a huge driver of what mecha has become today. Thus, of course, with so many shows coming out year on year, building themselves on the ideas that came before them, it wouldn't take long until the super robot genre started to become stale and monotonous. The audience were hungry for something new, setting the stage for something big to happen. And while some aspects of sci-fi and technology branched off with iconic shows like Leiji Matsumoto's space battleship Yamato, opening up the space opera genre, something needed to happen to completely revolutionize what defines mecha. Turns out this would come from an up-and-coming director by the name of Yoshiyuki Tomino, as in April of 1979, the mecha world was introduced to the game changer that defines game changers. An entirely new genre within mecha was about to make huge waves in the industry, and nobody was ready for the phenomenon that we would still feel to this day. To say that Mobile Suit Gundam was an important series is a bit of an understatement, akin to saying the universe is fairly large, or I am quite fond of tsunderes. This would spawn the real robot
so this
genre,
is the first
one
one.
depicting the machines as true tools of war, essentially tanks with legs instead of mechanical supermen. It was the very first anime to depict a fictional human-on-human war to this level, as throughout the decade previous, it was always monsters or evil alien races opposing the heroes. Gundam was the exact antithesis to this idea, for whilst you were firmly experiencing the war from one side's perspective, the motivations and goals of all parties involved were purely justified. This moral ambiguity was completely unheard of at the time, as was the concept of a young civilian protagonist being thrust into a world he didn't understand. Sound familiar to any anime you've seen recently? The mature themes were a huge departure from the kid-friendly super robots, so much so in fact that initially the show was cut short and ended up a commercial failure in many respects. As with before, merchandising is a huge driver for mech shows.
All right, so he's just giving us a history lesson of where this all came from, which is fine. I like it, but you know, it's like I'm trying to see where this goes bad. Like, how does this go wrong? Where does it fail? Because we could argue that there's an influx or an oversaturation of one genre, and you could say isekai is like that right now. There's just so much, you don't know what's going to last.
I wonder if he's going to argue that now the fall of mecha is because now we only have Gundam as new series, and there's no other innovation in the genre itself.
Maybe. Usually, even with Gundam, but prior was always like war is bad, and Gundam has always been that sort of message outside of having villains who we're sympathetic to, or stories that show both sides of the war, heroes you like on both sides. So yeah, you could still tell good stories regardless of a war with mechanical men walking around. It's not the problem. It's
Chat says Gundam failed at first.
Oh really? All right.
I don't know.
But he just said in the video
I vaguely remember. Yeah.
that like it was a commercial failure.
Right.
That's what he said.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I've had a long day.
Hell, the only reason why the very first Gundam was depicted in its iconic color scheme of red, white, blue, and yellow was for the sake of merchandising, and kids just weren't incentivized to buy it. It wasn't until the film compilations had finished screening in 1982 that it gained the recognition it deserved with merchandising that was targeted towards an older audience in Gunpla. Once that happens though, oh boy were people fully aware just how much of a big deal Gundam was, and it firmly stood to have exactly the same effect on real robots that Mazinger Z had on super robots in the decade prior. Unlike the 70s though, the more mature subject matter and serial nature of real robot narratives meant that all manner of shows got to present fresh and compelling ideas. The established tropes of super robot anime were rapidly phasing into live action Sentai, leaving in its place what is truly considered to be a golden age of mecha. This era saw the rise of such incredible franchises as Dougram, Votoms, Patlabor, and most notably of all outside of Gundam, Super Dimension Fortress Macross. Shoji Kawamori would soon become a huge hugely impactful figure and icon within the mecha world, but what a way to make a name for himself with this show. Perhaps, and somewhat unfortunately though, depending on who you ask, there was a key theme featured in Macross that would go on to have a very important relationship with mecha in future years. That being the integration of motherfucking idols. Yes, that's right, trace it back far enough and you can find some of the roots to idol shows in mecha anime. Mecha was the defining genre for anime in this time, but towards the end of the decade, like when the hot trend was super robots, a similar lull in quality was beginning to set in as a result of the oversaturation of real robots jumping on the Gundam bandwagon. The landscape was once again ready for a change, and just before the 80s ended, an up-and-coming animator by the name of Hideaki Anno joined the fray with his directorial debut, Gunbuster,
Don't do
as
it.
well as being an absolutely fantastic...
Wait, actually, Gunbuster's pretty good, yeah. When did Macross Plus come out? I thought it was the 80s. I'm trying to remember.
I think 82.
Yeah, he completely glossed over that.
He only talked about the first one.
Oh, no. It came out in 95. Okay. Macross Plus. All right. That's fair enough. Okay, good. I'm like, wait a second. That was pretty important to me. All right, fine.
Yeah, that was Anno's first anime, 88, Gunbuster.
Yeah, no, Gunbuster was smart. It was basically science fiction. It was done well.
Yeah, like he could only he didn't have as much control over that show as like with Eva and the other ones.
Yes.
So he was like actually like supervised by people.
Was this the OT and Evangelion was Anno's prequel trilogy?
Well, I think like The Secret of Blue Water was like his first attempt at like making his own thing, but it failed because like the studio executives were like really going for like we have to sell this for like a certain audience, and it was also like filled with fillers, like that. Like I think like that was like one of the factors that drove him to depression. And like once he got back from that, like he started working on Evangelion. So like I think like these were like his like happy years, and like he was like this was his debut as a director. But like I think like he was also like still an animator on this one as well.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating to see someone's work when they start off. You're like, wow, this guy's great. We should put him in charge of something.
Because like I think like Anno had like I think like that's his debut was as like someone who works in anime was as an animator, because like he is a really good animator. Like he worked for Miyazaki and like some other places as well, but like Miyazaki was like the guy that like I think like he got like most of his fame from.
Right.
Like yes, like he also made the Sailor Moon transformation as well.
Really? Wow.
Anno?
Yes, Anno did that.
Jeez.
Like
Wow.
one of them.
Not the first one?
The original.
I don't know. I know. I read it at once that like he did one of the transformations.
Yeah, not the movie versions or S or Super S.
I'm gonna quickly look it up, but like he has like a lot of credit behind his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just dawned on me something. One of these obvious things that's right in front of you that you don't see. That also with creators of anime from show to show, we can see that life influences reflected as we do in classic paintings. Like in the old masters, and they go through phases.
Oh, you mean who they're influenced by?
The whatever phase in life they're going through.
All right.
Overall, Buster was a firm sign of things to come, with a successful blending of classic super robot motifs with modern serious story elements and characterization. This fusion of ideas would soon go on to define the future of the genre. As we go on into the 90s, Mecha would transition into somewhat of an identity crisis.
Oh no, more music, guys.
Guys, do you
really
remember
doesn't want
Nirvana?
this video monetized.
Yeah, he just wants to just pick on the biggest guys in story and music and just put it into his video. It's like, dude, please stop. Stop with the popular music, please.
Okay, I looked it up, and like Anno was the key animator for Sailor Moon, the R movie.
Oh, really? Wow.
I don't know what that means. I like some episodes, and that's how he got some of the voice actors to play some roles in Evangelion.
Oh, really? Wow. He just happened to know guys in the acting
That's how it
department.
tends to work.
The art movie was actually pretty good. I remember watching it. So once you get past that S and Super S, it gets kind of not retarded, just weird. It just gets like the power creep goes way too high, and you're fighting a galactic level power villains, and there's all these other creatures. I'm like, okay, that's enough for me. Anyway, the 90s. Here we go.
The biggest thing to differentiate the 90s to previous decades was that mecha didn't stick to a particular trend, and it was an incredibly experimental and varied time. The genre became a potent cocktail of fresh takes on classic genres and completely new concepts to firmly establish how limitless the idea was from a story perspective.
I like
Gundam
Isekai
saw
right
new and
now.
original takes between the likes of G Gundam being the franchise's first take on super robots, to 8th MS Team perhaps being the greatest, most down-to-earth example
Yes.
of definitive real robots combat to date. It was clear the gloves were off for mecha at this point. The likes of Gao Gaigar brought super robots back into the public eye in a big way, and Shoji Kawamori's
That was
biggest
like a
hit
really
since
silly
Smash
show.
Bros.
That was a dumb. Yeah, guys, don't watch that one. But here's Vision of Escaflowne. Fantastic anime. In case you haven't heard of it, it is the original. I wouldn't say it's the original, but it's one of the original isekais and romance / adventure / I guess you can call it Gundam, or not really.
Just some annoying female characters.
Yeah, it's got giant robots, but it's not really that big a deal in the whole story. It's not the focus.
No, I meant
And that's
the
the
female characters are annoying, very annoying.
Yes, I would say at times the females are. Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 of them. I'm like, okay, yeah.
With its fantasy isekai setting pushed the limits of what people expected from the genre. Even through all this,
Isekai
however,
setting.
1995 would prove to be the defining year of this decade, with
Excuse
2
me?
of the biggest and most important shows this genre has
No.
ever seen, hitting screens not only in Japan but for the West as well. Gundam Wing was my generation's gateway into mecha. Thanks to its successful Toonami run, it was everything as far as mecha in the West was concerned.
Yes, this is the first boy band Gundam style storytelling, which every character has their own unique style of Gundam and its own backstory and why they are the way they are. And now it's just popularized with Gundam 00, the same concept, more boy band Gundam heroes, but the story is about the God, wait, I can't remember exactly. It was about a supercomputer and a elevator, a space elevator, which controlled the power of the Earth because it got all its solar power. So there's all kinds of things happening in 00 Gundam, which there's child wars, there's kingdoms being overthrown, there's artificial Gundam furnaces, I think they're called solar furnaces. Yeah. So there's all kinds of things happening in the story that you're just like, oh, this is too many ideas, too much science fiction. You can just slow down there. But it's fun. It's fun to watch.
Many of you will have this show in particular to thank for introducing you into the genre. But of course, whilst it was still popular in Japan, its impact was borderline irrelevant compared to that of Hideaki Anno's career-defining icon of this medium.
Wow, he's actually using
Mobile
anime
Suit
on
Gundam were to
now.
be considered the de facto game changer for mecha, then Neon Genesis Evangelion would prove to have an impact of a similar scale. But to the entire medium
always thought
of
it
anime.
was older.
It's hard to pinpoint specific aspects of Eva that would go on to define the future of mecha as a genre. It didn't
Overblown plots, confusing dialogue, confusing techno jargon.
Cliffhanger endings.
Yeah, what was that? The
Weird meta plot with the guys pulling the strings.
the weird fan service at the end that wasn't really fan service, but they sort of like, hey, we're gonna give you fan service. You're like, what are you talking about? It's stupid little ending shit that the actors have fun with.
Giant naked women.
Yes. Tiny naked people. So you can see the legs hanging off there.
Yeah, that definitely yes as well.
It's so...
I never understood. I always thought that was just random spaghetti because the first time I watched it had a really low resolution.
Yeah, no, Eva is a mess. It is a giant mess of ideas. It's like watching a really bad put together video game series. It's just a combination of things. There's throwing at the wall. and he just didn't know how to put it together, and you just sit there like, dude, yeah, it's a mess.
They actually made a video game out of Eva. Like right before Enno decided to make the Rebuild movies, he released a PS2 game, which was called Evangelion 2, and it actually has like better moments than the anime because like you can like talk. It works like an RPG, and you can talk out like Kaworu out of suicide, and then like the allies with you. So like Shinji and Kaworu and like some other Evangelions like fight the angels in the end of Evangelion setting when those mass-produced ones attack. So it makes more sense. Like, and I was like, why couldn't the movie be like this? Why can't like Shinji be like finally like coming over his problems, like facing the enemy, like it was like trying to build up to something instead of they just like grab him, like initiate the ritual without his consent and just make him a god, and then he decides that like, oh fuck this, just let me go back.
That's funny that the format of the video game forces the writer to say, okay, you gotta have a conversation here. You gotta
but probably like because it wasn't written by Enno, it was only the drafter again.
Well,
like
yeah,
I didn't know that.
I would say that's probably the de facto reason why it all makes sense, because he wasn't involved.
Yeah, I was like, what did they have like more thought to this than the anime?
Yeah, you kind of look at the same thing that happened to Xenogears. People at the time said Xenogears was like they took the ideas of Evangelion and made it into an RPG, plus the team who helped make Chrono Trigger, which was they was supposed to be the sequel, and they never got around to it. So they changed it with religious themes, and even with the second disc, like Evangelion, it ran out of budget. So they had to scurry around and put it together at the end.
Yeah. Were they running out of budget, or was it just pressure by the producers?
I think it was both, because they had a time frame and they needed
what was planned was that they'd get a third CD, like 1/3 of what they wanted to put into the story was missing.
Yeah, so they didn't have enough time and money to put it together, and they just
it's usually when games feel rushed by the end and like, whoa, why is everything concluding all of a sudden? Like everything was played out so nice, like in Vampire the Masquerade, like really nice, everything super detailed, and then it all descends into boring hack and slash crap for a while.
Yeah, so that happened. That's true. Okay, here's Roan Harushan. Thank you again. 00 is basically close to, at the time, current day nations fighting over solar elevators, because energy crisis and celestial beings' whole deal was to force the world into peace by destroying war. Yes, I think they wanted to dominate the entire landscape of war by just being this supreme, like unbeatable force of Gundams, and eventually the rest of the world sort of slowly developed technology, and then they just amp up the power. Like there's that crazy power scaling that happens with all these stories where, well, they have a bigger robot with a bigger gun, you got to get a bigger defense, or you get a bigger robot with even bigger gun. It just keeps going and going, and it gets a little stupid with 00 near the end, where he has like 2 engines now, he has 2 solar furnaces, then he has this attachment that you're basically selling toys. Like that's what it comes down to, which is stupid, because it was never about that. And then you notice it's like, yeah, you're selling toys, and there's this whole wing attachment that comes on, it transforms. Now you could read the minds of all the other pilots, and you're just like, what the freaking, like we just keep going further and further into stupid
toys with TLCs.
I don't know. It just, you get near the end of a story where all the
toy
science fiction
loadable
crap,
content.
They just keep piling on the science fiction bullshit. Like, he can read minds, he has a secondary personality, he can communicate across time and space, and it's like, no, he's just piloting a robot. That's all he's doing. Stop it. It's either a power source or like is the secret of the galaxy. Like, I don't know. Like, pick one. Don't do both. It's kind of stupid to have that.
Pilot Preston asked in the chat like which Evangelion video game I'm talking about. It's literally called Neon Genesis Evangelion 2 for the PlayStation 2, and it was a Japan only game. But somebody on YouTube, if you look up that game, has translated all the cutscenes and the gameplay. So technically, you can just like read it if you wanted.
Has the Evangelion manga finished by now?
Yes, it has finished for like a decade now.
Ah.
Yeah,
I only remember like first few volumes were out back long ago, and the story
Yeah, it
was a bit
actually
different
released
there.
earlier than the anime itself. Funny enough.
Yeah, but it took forever to continue. But the
Yeah.
story's a bit different there. They never figured how it went on. Does it make more sense?
It makes more sense because like Shinji is like a better character by the end, but like he also has like the same like points happen in the anime and the manga, so it's like it's pretty much the same character and the same events happen. But like Gendo and Shinji is like a better character because like Gendo is actually like doing things and like is more like open with Shinji, like why he's like the way he is. It was always like weird in the anime that like you have like put so much emphasis on these two characters that like what's between them. Why is Gendo like so cold towards Shinji? Like he just straight up like tells him that like he fucking despises him because of him. Like he doesn't have his wife anymore. But like yeah, those things happen, and like also like Shinji like goes to like save Asuka from the I have a series that like the Kaworu plug ones that like come in the end of ever. So that's like these small moments like make like him like a somewhat a better character, but otherwise it's like the same thing. I think like it's closer to like the ending of like the Rebuild movies maybe.
Okay.
It's like it's better experience than the anime was.
all right, cool.
Do what stories or
Yeah, it was religious bullshit with aliens.
Yeah, it still did Monster of the Week. It just did it pretty well. It had very creative monsters. It had very creative problems with them, and it had very well animated action scenes and action for just a series, not a movie.
And
that was what made it stand out.
Yeah, and guns the size of buildings hidden in buildings, because that's what you do when you make a gun that's that big. You just hide it in a fake building so that your gigantic robot can grab it and then and then aim it at a giant other creature that's trying to eat Eve by digging into the ground. It's just this series of bizarre like you're like, what the hell is happening here?
That was like always like so stupid that they hide the guns there. They use the guns and then they just never happen to like hit anything with it.
If they can make a gun
that are hidden in buildings,
if they can
it's not to hide them from the angels. It's to
but if they can
not disturb the populace. That why ever there's a populace.
Yeah, but if you could, the whole thing with the city going into the ground, and it's like, okay, that's ridiculously insane. Okay,
why would people live there?
Yeah,
get them out.
It's a war zone. Get the fucking hell out of there. The fact that you can make a gun that big and that only the Eva can wield, just make a normal gun on the ground with a turret, like aiming mechanization method. So you don't need the robot. Just use the gun. Okay.
No, it's Japan. We need to over-engineer everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like they have done that. Like that's the first episode of Evangelion. That like you have like these ground guns, and like none of them actually managed to like pierce through the angels. Somehow, it's only effective when the Evangelion is firing.
And they use the juice from like all the power plants in Tokyo or whatever to juice this.
Yeah,
gun.
that too. Yeah, it's like, but like really, like that's like another stupid thing about it. It's that. In the Rebuild movies, they take it like a step forward. That they like, what's that? Misato shows Shinji that like, hey, this is Eve, like Lilith. Lilith is the name for like the thing, and like, well, this is why the angels want to come down to the terminal dogma, and it's just like all the staff members know about it. It's supposed to be like the big secret.
Yeah,
and like in the movies, they are like, oh well, we all know about this, so like this is not a secret anymore. Like,
why would you want to
have
put
this big ass creature here, and this is like the genesis for all of humans.
Yeah.
But then everybody knows that all the time that the angels will definitely come for this place.
Yeah.
Why would you want to stay
I'm
there?
just like thinking, like, if all the staff members know about this, then like, how the fuck can you keep it a secret? Because like those people don't look like the types that like would be like the government people that they would need to like keep a secret.
Yeah, they don't look like the Men in Black types that will tell no one or kill. They're just people.
Yeah, we can bury a city in the ground on giant hydraulic, pneumatic, whatever bullshit to.
Yeah, and then the buildings, instead of being on the ground, they hang off the ceiling of the giant cave. It's great.
Apparently someone wants to come in.
Sorry?
His name is Lalle.
Oh no, let me go find
Lalle.
him.
He's in auxiliary.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
Let me go find him.
Lalle is good.
All right, that's fair. Where are we? Auxiliary.
We accidentally nerded over Warhammer the other week for 3 hours and should have recorded it.
Okay, Lale, you have to friend me first. I can't add you to the list.
Power of friendship.
That's how
Make the
Discord
Mecha
works.
stream.
Yeah, that's how
To
it works.
combine into the great Mecha stream. Then we can become Ramrod.
Oh, okay.
That's technically also Mecha, right?
I guess.
Don't know. All right, we'll just keep going away from the friend me, and we'll add him to the stream. Woohoo! Here we go.
Combination of the two. It was none of those things. It was all of those things, and so much more. So what came next was what I could only describe as the modern golden age of the genre.
No.
Oh,
No.
God, this guy just wants to get taken down by like multiple companies.
He has no.
If you
fear.
want
He
to
has
make
Patreon.
AMVs, make AMVs.
Yeah.
If you want to make YouTube videos, make YouTube videos.
Good lord. All right, let's go.
The 2000s wasn't a period of development or progress for the genre. It was simply a period of pure fulfilling payoff for everything Mecha had given us over the last 30 years. Mecha fans just wanted great shows, great stories, and great characters, and that's exactly what they got. Shows like Razafon parading Ava's influence in space to great success, Full Metal Panic masterfully blending real robots with
What?
high school comedy,
Wait.
Eureka 7's coming of age
What?
Oh god, there's so
Why-
many of them. But like, yeah, the Full Metal Panic was like fun show.
Was that-
Although
was
I
that a
like
Mecha?
the Fumofu series for it. It's more like easier to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
Fumofu
felt like
was
it was
also
never
very,
like the strength of Full Metal Panic to like tell a serious story. Like no
yeah,
offense.
Fumofu was this. It had these in your face, but at the same time subtle comedy moments. It was
Yeah, he's a
very expertly done.
he's a bodyguard, but he's also a crazy military goofball, and
Yeah, and then he uses this mascot costume for hiding that is reference to some other thing.
it's
This bear costume that stands
Yeah.
out so much.
when we talk about shows being one thing and then totally turning on a dime, like with Vash the Stampede, where it's all funny the first half and then it gets all serious and dark the last half. Full Metal Panic is like a romance high school thing, but it starts off as this mecha anime and it just goes back
Did
into
it? I don't remember about that. I only remember there was a submarine with Full Metal Panic, and
yes, it's
and
crazy.
the super intelligent little girl
Yes.
thing, and oh yeah, they had mecha in the hangar bay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the
okay,
girl-
yeah, there was some mecha there. I
the-
just don't remember them in action.
Yeah, the girl he's protecting is the only one who has the knowledge or the innate skill to figure out the engine and energy source or whatever. And you're like, oh,
Yeah, she connects to the submarine later and becomes the submarine.
yeah, but the captain's like the lowly genius. It's like, oh, okay, all the tropes are there, but then it gets thrown into this crazy high school romance comedy shtick, and you're just like, what? What am I watching again?
I didn't watch Eureka 7 far enough to see the mecha stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm mistaking it for Nia 7.
Well,
I
Razafon
think-
is pretty cool. It's weird. It's weird as hell though. It's like what am I watching?
Yeah. I only watched the first episode, I think, and then I didn't continue.
Yeah,
because,
it feels like
hey, 300 megabytes per episode on a 56K modem. The first episode confused the hell out of me. What the hell was it? What the hell was this?
Imagine.
I'm not gonna download more of this.
Imagine
this is too costly.
A film major meets a music major meets an art major, and they all want to make a story about religion, music, and Mecha, and you're like, what? Like, what do you?
Yeah, I remember some weird harp stuff with the Mecha in the first episode, and it's like, why am I watching?
It's like a trippy, weird. Yeah, there's bits of like hallucinogenic scenes. You're like, I don't know what the fuck just happened. What was that? Music? Was someone on drugs? Like, yeah, no, it's pretty wild. It's fun to watch.
If you say it's good, I think we talked about this before. But if you say it's good, maybe I'll remember to watch it after all.
You know, there's episodes which are good. There's episodes that make you go, I what? What just happened? Yeah, but it is.
Well,
it is fun.
I did watch Ergo Proxy and
oh boy,
liked more than 50% of it. So I might like Razefon.
Ew, you will. Yeah, no, Ergo Proxy is a hit and miss for most people. But
that's why I say over 50%. The other half is like, why?
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is cool, ending? And then you're like, oh, this is dumb, and you're like, oh, that's it. That's all there is.
But I must say, Ergo Proxy actually had probably some of the best filler episodes of all anime.
Because they had fun
that I found
with their
found them better than some of the main episodes.
Yeah, the setting was so, like, you could do so much, and they decided to do that with all the domes, and it's like, oh, this dome did this, and this is basically Fallout, but Japanese style, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy fun, cool, and then you go back to the main plot, you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sadly, I think it's just 3 filler episodes that do that. Where they go to different domes, and it turns out every single dome is a psychological experiment with the holders as basically gods, but the gods are gone.
Yep, and the robots are still around. Mm-hmm. It's cool stuff. Anyway,
yeah.
Eureka 7. I never got into Eureka 7. I don't know why. It looked really cool.
Okay, I think I only remember the title at this point.
Well, at this time, I think what was the Code Geass came out, or was it a year after?
Yes,
that one I liked. So I paid attention to that. Anyway, let's go.
Venture, rekindling how well Mecha has blended itself with romance in the past. Hell, love it or hate it, and chances are it's the latter. Gundam Seed was a big fucking deal in terms of overall popularity. The rebuild of Evangelion films were just...
Gundam Seed, you guys have no idea how popular that was. It was the strangest thing I remember. I was like, what the hell?
I remember like someone telling me that it's like the worst of Gundam.
It has these tropes, like you have the Mary Sue, like all this other stupid bullshit. He always wins. Like he manages to reprogram something or change something at the last minute.
Jesus.
It's just, and then there's this woman controlling him with sex, and you're like, what? What's going on?
Hello, Lale.
Hey, Lal, how you doing?
Hey.
I am doing well, and I see that you guys are covering something that I accidentally have a very large portfolio on.
A portfolio? What do you mean by that?
Evangelion?
I mean, what's too much Mecha?
Oh, okay. That's your thing, though.
Oh,
That's
thank
cool.
God.
That's cool. That's totally fine, man. Glad to have you. I
Finally, an expert.
Yeah, no. Glad we have an expert.
I'm no expert by any means. Like, I still not covered the quote-unquote inspiration for Mecha, such as Ultraman.
Yep.
And, well, not Power Rangers, but, yeah, Ultraman being one of the big ones. But in regards to your Gundam Seed comments, how much do you guys know about Gundam Seed?
Oh God, it's been so long. There's Gundam Seed Destiny. I know it's the second part.
Yes.
There's these guys they're not innovators. What the hell are they called? New types? No.
That's the original Gundam. There are, I believe they are called innovators. Yes.
Innovators. Okay, so he's this special dude, and no one knows it, and he doesn't know it until he sits in the damn cockpit, and he can just program things really quickly to calibrate the Gundam so it works better for him, and he can figure out how to fight better and faster, and then all the crap. It gets really seedy, not seedy. It gets really convoluted quickly. And
they are coordinators.
Coordinators. Thank you.
I must hang myself for not immediately knowing that, but I also don't like Gundam Seed, so.
Yeah, no. It's everyone. Like, I know a buddy who loves Gundam Seed. I know a buddy who loves 0083. I like 00. people like the original 82. Like there's all these. It's weird that we just all like these own individual versions of Gundam, but we all understand what we're talking about half the time. The themes are the same.
Bit on the side, but did Nadeshiko have a mecha?
Let me think.
So I only remember really liking that show, but then the end fizzled out, kind of.
Yes,
It was a letdown, but I really liked the show up until then.
I think it did.
Nadeshiko, yeah, it does have mechs in it. It is a very minor part of it, but they do have mechs. It doubles out on it in the movie, which you should not watch the movie, like flat out. It turns it from
not watch or watch.
Don't watch. It turns it from a somewhat competent comedy parody of Get a Robo and Mazinger into Evangelion.
Oh no!
Well, the one that
because Nadeshiko had this amazing plot of you were fighting the humans were fighting some possibly aliens, and at the end it turned out no, it's a colony from Jupiter. Haha!
Indeed, which
that wanted to stay independent. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah, which was already a tried and tested quote unquote twist in the mecha genre up till then, but it is a very good one.
I remember Wisp. You always talk about Vandred. That has a lot of mecha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's basically the tame version of Darling in the Franxx.
Darling in the Franxx.
There's a tame version of Dunn.
Yeah.
Yes. It's got it's because in Vandred, the pirate ship of the women, because men and women live on different planets. They're literally from different planets, and on the planet of the men, there's the myth that women are these evil space alien monsters that hunt men to eat their livers. It's beautiful. Everybody should watch Vandred.
Oh.
Now I see. Like I remember this crap.
Yeah. Crap.
Oh god.
I would personally not recommend watching Vandred unless you are down for going through one of the most tedious and poorly paced animes I have ever had the displeasure of watching.
Studio Gonzo. Fuck.
Yeah, man. It's one of the earlier works. But the ship of the space pirates, which is all women, crashes into some weird sentient crystal thing, and then the ship becomes half sentient something, and all the fighter ships of the pilots are also infested by it, and that leads to the during combat, the ships of the male protagonist and the ships of the female fighters, they can merge, and then they're both piloting a super fighter.
I see what you mean.
Depending on with whom he merges, they sit in a different position in the thing, and and they're always embarrassed about it. And then the others get jealous, like, I want to merge too.
Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah, but it's half serious, half for laughs. I've seen worse, but it's a good little thing on the side, like if you have nothing else to watch.
It was like way better than Darling in the Franxx. Like Darling in the Franxx like made me like angry. Like there are like very few shows that makes me angry, but like that one was like wow. I felt like I want to choke the director. I want to just shove something up his ass.
Because
like,
Vandred
that is like a crime against humanity.
Vandred doesn't indulge in that joke; it just makes it. And then just runs with
like,
it, and
you're actually like laughing along with it.
Yeah, they're not focusing overtly on it. It's just okay. It happened once. Okay, now next time it's just there.
Right.
But
it's
don't
like,
go over
it's
the
kind of like Darling in the Franxx is like making it like even worse because like you have like Evangelion and like Gurren Lagann. Like both of them are like paying like a lot of homage to like earlier series that like they were inspired by. Darling in the Franxx is like literally like grabbing like things that like, well, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this too. I'm gonna like stuff all these references in my show. And, like it doesn't have like anything original to it. While those other two shows were essentially made by the same staff, but like it just they could like at least like have like something that's memorable and like it only came from that show.
All right.
It's like such a nuisance.
Here is Legacy. Thanks for the $4.99. XJ9, Jenny Wakeman, Star Saber from Transformers Victory, and Rick Ashley could end Third Impact.
That's a very specific list.
My brain is like, what the flying? I know what the Third Impact is, but what are you talking about, sir?
I think he's just making a fantasy football team, essentially, that could take on the Third Impact. Kind of like, oh, this character could take on Goku. Stuff like that.
Oh, because this is so specific. And I'm like, dude, I'm not that big an anime fan, or at least that well-known an anime fan to know those terms.
Just bring Chuck Norris.
Well.
So it works every time. It also solves the Traccoon problem.
All right.
If Traccoon hits Chuck Norris, who gets isekai'd?
So we skipped we skipped 2006, which I think was the release of the one I just mentioned about 20 minutes ago.
Code Geass?
Code Geass, yeah.
That has to be a Mac.
That was big. Yeah, that was big as well. So I don't know.
That was huge. Although like the emphasis was probably on the like this superpower that he has.
Yeah, I think the characters were the focus. Obviously all the battling was all mecha, like every single thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, before we continue, there was something I would like to respond to, at least from chat. Carape197 asks, isn't Evangelion just an amalgamation of other mecha series? Indeed it was. It was largely a passion project, if you will, by the director that really wanted to say that he wants to kill himself.
Yes. He was depressed. Yeah.
Yep. Like the crosses were references to another mecha series where they were used because the creator had interest in Christianity.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe the cross is a reference to a certain scene from the original run of Mazinga, if you guys have seen it.
That was back in the 80s, I think, right? Or the 70s?
70s.
Yeah, okay. I saw that,
There's a scene in the original Mazinga show where all the characters, including the robot, gets crucified.
That's why I always make the reference
from.
to Xenogears. That very well-known scene where Choo-Choo died for your sins. A giant pink furball has been crucified.
Not just.
But
not
like,
just
didn't
that.
like Evangelion use those Christian symbols because they were just cool? Like they didn't really have like any symbolism to it. It's just all a stylistic choice.
Like because the whole backdrop of Evangelion was Christian.
It was like they thought like it was like very exotic
mythology
for them.
Amalgamation stuff. But there's in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 there's another Mazinga reference with Gigarosa, the giant chibi maid robot, where the what was his name? The merchant lord Noppon and his inventor guy were getting in a cockpit doing the transformation dance, and then the cockpit joined into the crown of Gigarosa, the giant chibi maid robot. Just like Mazinga.
Oh, really?
Master X-Men also points out that the crosses are also might have been an inspiration from Ultraman, where they also show up, which is why I said that I cannot call myself a mecha expert, so I'll watch Ultraman.
Okay.
Yeah, speaking of that, lol, that really depressed me that you could confuse coordinators and innovators.
You know what?
Listen, I care for neither.
It's a common theme in all the Gundam. There's always like some superior version of human, and they're always better than everyone else, or no one knows who they are. And
that is that trope, yeah.
I can't remember the names of each series because it's always there. So
the issue I see with coordinators and innovators are they are two sides of the same coin. They're both fucking boring.
Oh yeah. Well, the innovators are all connected to a supercomputer, and
they're all assholes.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
And only they can do the special thing. But then you have is it Soma who becomes an innovator or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, Setsuna.
There you go.
Yeah, he became one because of the twin drive system. Ended up making him into an actual purebred one, not the synthetic ones.
It's anytime I hear, the energy magical thing turned me into a thing, and I'm like, that could do what?
Yeah.
Oh, it could read minds and power things. I'm like, what? What's happening?
I love how people complain about Minovsky particles in the UC era, but freaking the GN particles, yes, it does do some stupid, crazy bullshit that really isn't. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That's why 00 is close to being a super robot next to Gundam.
It was doing just fine the first season, and then the second season just kept going. The power creep just kept going, and you're like, okay, this is going to hit something stupid, and then it does, and it just keeps going after that. You're like, oh my god, stop it! Just tell a story. Stop making like him turn into a superhero with trans-dimensional powers, and he's like, oh my god, stop.
That's a consequence that Gundam hit very early on with. Have you guys seen the original Gundam series?
Yeah, but it's a long time ago. Like I did watch those really classics.
Yeah, the original Gundam series hit a wall in very early with Zeta, that being season 2 essentially, where they had cyber new types, where they were cybernetically creating people with superior senses. And when you could just pump out people with artificial superpowers, you start hitting the power creep of, well, now what's the excuse for these people not simply stomping normal people? Well, they're actually extremely unstable. Okay, but then you get to Double Zeta where everyone's a cyber new type and everyone can work just fine until this one plot point near the end of the show kills them all off because they go crazy or whatever. Then you're okay. What was the point of that? Well, we kind of ran out of ideas. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of the same concept of superior soldier with superior technology can beat the traditional tactics, and he's part of the enemy, but we like him because he has a tragic past, and then they keep playing around with that formula. They get the boy band going with Gundam Wing, and it's, this is even more interesting. And then they play around with that. He's their war orphans. And then there's the actual, what is the war orphan Gundam story? Bloody...
Gundam, Iron Blood Orphans.
Blood Orphans, yeah. It's like that was just that story. So they're just playing around with the themes and focusing on one more than the other. So it does get old.
Curious to see what this new one's going to be about.
Which one? There's so many this year. I don't...
There's a one coming out in October. I think the Mercury, was it Mars? I forget.
Witch or Mercury.
It's a planet and then Witch. The Witch or Mercury? Okay, yes. The suit design looks weird, and actual protagonist is a female, so that's going to be a little bit different.
It would be the second major female protagonist that is piloted Gundam.
Because of
otherwise. Yes, from 0080.
Yes, War in the Pocket. I keep getting the digits.
Okay.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, no, but I looked at the list this year, and there was at least 4 or 5 announcements, and I was like, wow, that's so much. So yeah, that was the main, the big one that they wanted to.
They're also Bandai's trying to do some Gundam Universe thing. It's weird. They're trying to make a VR whole situation to where people can log in, talk with other people, view products. I don't know the full aspect of it because I was watching Kakarot 197 talk about it, but it felt like they were trying to make it into a movie trilogy, like what Avengers did. They're trying to make something like that, but with Gundam, and I'm like, I don't see this going well or working.
Okay.
It's weird.
All right, let's get back to Gigak's wonderful. I think I got hopefully brings up Code Geass, but let's just see where he goes.
He will.
Starting Gunbuster's eventual sequel and Diebuster brought back super robots, and this would all peak in 2007 with the release of 2 shows that to this day stands as Mecha's last big hurrah in the wider anime consensus.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann wasn't just a big show. It was a galaxy-sized, fandom-wide phenomenon of the times that appealed to and was loved by just about everyone back then and still to this day. This was the exclamation mark on the end of an iconic lineage of the super robot genre, and it captured the hearts of a generation of fans who probably hadn't even heard of any of the shows that inspired it to be. It remains to this day one of the defining shows in the modern anime generation, and with that said, it's amazing to think that it might not have even been the biggest mecha show of that year.
Oh,
There it is.
Oh no.
Code Geass topped things off, and like how Gurren Lagann gave us a true to its roots super robot show, Code Geass gave us a true to its roots political real robot series. And
Shut the fuck up, you fuck.
Okay,
Real-
what happened? What just
Touched
happened?
a nerve, did we?
Oh, I think I almost had a migraine there. Sorry.
What's the problem?
Okay.
Oh, you too.
Real robot political thriller in which a crazy chainsaw man chases down the main character and they kick cameras 3 meters off the ground.
Wait,
Ugh.
which is this?
This is Code Geass. This is all in the first season of Code Geass.
Wow, I completely forgot about that. What?
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, it did.
Everyone forgets about that because the big plot points are the ones they want you to remember, because those are the points where something actually happens in the show. The rest is high school drama, Chainsaw Man pretending to be irrelevant, subplots in regards to the Code Geass, or what are they called, the Geasses, that don't go anywhere, and crazily contrived plot points in regard where characters do ridiculous things, such as the infamous spinning kick, knocking a pistol out of, what's his name, Lelouch's hand. And his main secondary fuck buddy being this revolving chamber of character. What's it right? He's a Russian roulette wheel in terms of characterization, where he will go from loyal to the end to turncoat to princess obsessed weirdo on a dime.
Well, you're not wrong.
Like, okay, sorry, I get very upset about Code Geass, specifically because it is such a raging dumpster fire, unlike Gurren Lagann. Yet people hold it in the same regard.
Oh no, those are completely different stories. Yeah, no. Gurren Lagann is a fun, dramatic story that involves, I think, post-apocalyptic setting and
Yes.
is it aliens or just mutated people?
Well, technically, yes, humans.
Yeah.
Like the humans, it's like a post-apocalypse because like the humans failed like the last war that they fought, and the anti-spirals are pretty much in the leadership, and they are
Yeah.
rebelling against them.
Whereas what they did with Code Geass was you have the high school drama, but it's under the setting of an oppressive regime.
Exiled prince.
Yeah, and they're trying to take over the last sector of the planet, and this prince is the forgotten prince of the king who's trying to do that, or the dictator, and everyone looks down upon the 11s, which that's the 11th sector, I think, in Japan. So yeah, and his friend is like this pro-Japan. Is he pro-Japan? Yeah, Suzaku, I think he's a pro-defender, but he's like superhuman strength. I don't know why.
No, it's quite opposite. He's like a royalist.
Oh, he's a royalist?
Like he was.
Oh, okay.
Like that's like the complete opposite. Because like yeah, like he was the son of the prime minister of Japan.
Yes.
But like he was the one who killed the fathers too.
Yeah. I gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No. It's mostly the high school drama, but then you have all these weird action scenes where Lelouch is planning strategies, and it's always they're really interesting designs. I mean, they're kind of silly, colorful as well, but some of them are pretty practical. I like the wheels that just retract on the feet and they're skating around.
The first time I saw them, I couldn't stop thinking about robots with Heelys.
Yeah, it reminded me of watching like Jet Set Radio or something. Like, that's kind of cool. And they have these grappling hooks, which I thought that's pretty practical. Yeah, if you have problems navigating a bipedal tank, here's a giant grappling hook. That's a pretty handy tool. So they did some smart things with the designs, which are practical, as opposed to then they got to the flying ones, and then Lelouch has this multi-shield one. I'm like, okay, that's kind of stupid. He just sort of sits there and just, ha ha ha, you can't hit me, I have shields, blah blah blah. And Suzaku gets his super duper one, and it's all just crazy action at that point. That's why I didn't like it as it further went. Plus, they do a lot of stupid killing characters off in the dumbest ways. For apparently how smart these people are, they do stupid shit and they just kill them off. And you're like, oh,
like the second season. Like I think like Lulu has like amnesia, and there's like this fake brother that he gets planted, and like oh man,
boy.
I hate that character.
Season 2 is an extension of all of my issues with season 1, in that it turns from it pretends to be so many different shows, and that is why who was it that mentioned it? One of the members in the chat pointed out that Code Geass, apologies. Code Geass has a huge impact to the Mecha franchise in Gurren Lagann, which is a good point, because it covers so much ground. There is no way it couldn't be a bigger influence. It's a high school drama, political intrigue, tragedy story with supernatural elements and mechs, on top of body horror, with the whole using the geass to make people kill themselves thing.
Oh, I thought that was Death Note.
No, it does that too in Code Geass.
Okay, here's a good question from Mad Courier 6. What's the worst mecha you've ever seen and why? Oh boy. That's a hard question.
Evangelion. Oh wait. Darling in the Franks right now, but like I gotta think about it because I have seen quite a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I could even say Rosaphon is pretty bad at certain times.
That's you are treading on thin ice.
I love certain episodes, but sometimes like that's just bizarre. Like I hate those episodes where it's just like I don't know what the freaking hell is happening. And it's like
fair.
And it just makes no sense. It's kind of like watching the second movie of Innocence, of Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah, I just like, what am I watching? I don't know what's happening. I hate that feeling. There's one that was called Argento Soma, I think. I'm trying to remember. I think it was a mecha anime. I can't recall exactly. I hate the confusing ones. But definitely Eva, of course, as we all talk about. Trying to think. Full Metal Panic, some of it is kind of dumb. It's not really mecha anymore. It becomes something stupid.
Okay.
I think like Darling in the Franks is like the
maybe we should clarify. Okay, what do you guys view as good in mecha and bad in mecha?
Whenever there's a Mary Sue like in Gundam Seed, I hate that. This guy who just does everything and just boom, he solves the day with the last second.
Okay,
that's annoying. With
two in that series,
yeah. With Lelouch, he at least has a brain. Like he's not some super genius. He's just a smart guy and he knows strategy. So I'm like, all right. If he comes up with an idea that I wasn't expecting, it's like, oh, he knows better than I do. It's like, all right, he knows how this thing operates. He was planning ahead. He has contingency plans. That's fair. With Gundam Seed, the guy just like reprogrammed something and now he's super fast. He's like, what? No.
He stole the freaking mobile suit, went on a tantrum, and came back and everyone was like, oh, hey, welcome back, good job. Whereas in the original Gundam, if that happened, Noah slaps him, tells him he's not using the mobile suit, and basically gets put in jail. Yeah, no, Kira doesn't suffer any repercussions for all of his stupid bullshit. And then you have Lacus, who doesn't help that either. She does the same thing. Like, she steals an entire freaking warship from freaking Zaft and 2 mobile suits. Yeah, no, she...
yeah.
I watched Seed, and I didn't see Destiny because I heard it was terrible and saved myself.
That's the thing. These shows we like, and then they get to the last part, or we get to the middle part, like with what was the other one I was talking about? With Double O Gundam. Like it's, I like this. All of a sudden, it just gets stupider and dumber and worse, and you're just like, okay, I can't watch it anymore.
You should have known better just from the fact that the fact that Double O is just a retread of Gundam Wing should have been the first red flag for you.
You know what? Gundam Wing's not that offensive. It's silly, but it's fun silly because you know what they're trying to do.
It's offensively boring if you're not watching the dub. It's offensively boring.
Oh, the dub is hilarious. Yeah, no, don't watch the dub.
No, watch the dub. That's like only way I didn't fall asleep through half of the show.
Scott McNeil as Duo is just great.
Yeah.
Yep. But I should. Okay, so you don't like Mary Sue's, you don't like non-existent consequences, correct? What do you like? Like when you watch Mecha, what are you looking for?
Well, because it's about war, I do like strategy, so that's why I enjoyed Lelouch that much because he did figure things out. He did lose, like he wasn't perfect, and his power's not understood, let alone all powerful. So he's figuring stuff out. So he is mortal. Some of the twists and turns were fine. I didn't like how they killed off characters for no reason. That was stupid. The side stories were good. They weren't amazing, but they were fine. It's like, okay, this might happen in a war. And it's like, oh, as a result of her mind control, she's going to fall in love with this guy, and because she has no memory. It's like, that's fair. Stuff like
also, like how they brought the Lelouch back was kind of stupid as well.
Oh, that's all this stuff with resurrection is dumb. Like all this stuff with the alternate world that they go into, that all the other geass users go into. That's kind of silly. So I sort of don't like that. I don't like the fantasy elements of that. I like the fighting and the politics and the strategy. That really, I'm like, oh, that's cool when you see Lelouch win and how he wins. So I like that.
All right. So when I say that my most hated mecha anime from how many? Give me a sec. I have been through some. 89 mechas besides the Gundam series. I would say the worst one I've seen is Heroic Age, by the same people that made, I believe it was, Gundam Seed.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I view mecha as it's a storytelling tool where the mechas are just extensions of the people that pilot them, which is why I'm a very big fan of, say, Get a Robo and Mazinga, which is all about that, and Gundam, which takes that concept and puts it into a war story, where all the Gundams and all the machines are usually tied to the person piloting them, and are extensions of them. When you think of the machine or the character, you eventually think of the other. When I see Heroic Age, it does exactly none of that. It takes the mecha concept, or biomecha, as the subgenre is called, and does nothing with it.
How does that relate to Gurana?
Excuse me?
What was that?
You haven't seen that one?
You mean Gurren Lagann?
No, Gurana.
Can you spell that for us, Wisp?
Well,
G-U-A.
Oh, Godanner.
yeah, what? I don't know how to pronounce that shit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's better. That's good.
I have not seen Godanner yet. Apologies.
Okay, well, I do
That's okay.
I do like some.
Don't worry. Don't rush it.
All right, I do like some of the Macross versions of Mecha. Obviously, Macross Plus is my favorite, but I saw the Frontier, which was fine, wasn't amazing. I think there was stuff after that. I never got into it. I forgot about it, and that was back in 2006 or 7 or whenever it came out. I can't remember. But there's been other ones. There's been like Delta. I'm like, what the hell is Delta? I've never heard of that. Never seen it. So, but yeah, Frontier I actually enjoyed because it was the same idea of Macross. You have a songstress that influences war, but she's connected to aliens forces, and that has a big influence on things, which I love. But at the same time, I know it's stupid because there's no air in space. So she's singing a song, but no one can literally hear it because there's no air in space. So, but I did like the backstories of the characters. They were more involved that way, and they focused on only 3, which was great. Which was technically a love triangle, but they never really got into that, which was cool. Because why go into that whole story about romance when you can talk about the war and the survival of humanity and an alien race invading? So
I might have kickstarted a shitstorm in chat by mentioning Biomecha. Now people are asking if Attack on Titan counts as Biomecha.
Doesn't it?
Why did you do this?
I would say yes. Like, even if it's not part of the genre, I would say it does count as Biomecha, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's an element. It's not part of the genre. It's an element of the story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think only a few characters can actually go into the Titans anyway, so it's not like you have an armies of mecha. It's just like a few guys, and they cause all the problems. So.
Draken says,
I actually went.
Go on.
So I was saying, I went to the comments of this video because I was watching it earlier to prep, and someone was talking about Attack on Titan, blah blah. It's like, isn't that just a mecha flesh thing? And I was like, I just went and typed in, it's just Evangelion. Just to say.
If Attack on Titan came out like in 1998 or something like that, yes, it would be hailed as much like we do with Evangelion now, which is depressing.
Dear.
Yeah, I know it's a hot take, but you know it's true. Dragon 2 cases, Biomecha would be Heroic 8, Tekkaman, Detonator Organ. Yeah, checks out. Throw logic away when watching mecha anime. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Depends on the mecha.
Tekkaman is more like a superhero. I'm the only guy who could do this except for my evil brother who can also do this. And you're like, okay, but we're on a spaceship. What the hell's going on? Yeah.
Yeah, but the similarities are pretty amazing is the wrong word. But in part, great animation, great scenes in the action department. Then you have these drawn-out emotional scenes with everybody's cringy to the point that it gets unbearable and it keeps repeating. Then you have plot points that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Or just draws it out. The entire seasons feel like drawn out filler that you could have done in like 3 episodes or even 1.
I think that's part of the.
And then you have a shitty ending that makes no sense at all. Fuck off.
That's part of the discontent that people have towards the genre as a whole. When you get stories that are so much more easily accessible and understandable, like the isekai genre, it's like, oh, video games, fantasy, a bunch of cute people and various anthropomorphic versions of themselves, and just pulling in from all sorts of other elements of anime. And you can get away with it because it makes sense to some degree because everyone nowadays knows gaming or knows multiplayer games or what have you. And that's enough for people to get into, whereas you have to get them into a world of political intrigue and which country's which and who are they fighting and what's the magical power? Is it techno power? Is it fantasy? Is it whatever? Like there's a lot more effort going into making a mecha story than it is for
I will say one
guy.
thing. I will say one thing. At least Hideaki Anno had the decency to only make 1 season.
Oh. That's the argument. He only did it once.
He only made 1 season. Attack on Titan had what, 5?
Yes, technically 5. Yes.
Oh, really? I thought 4 was the last.
Because like the final season was like final season part 2. So yes, now it's 5 seasons of Attack on Titan.
Yeah, that crap.
Oh, okay.
And that is so retarded as well.
2, 3,
Also,
4,
Smud,
5.
we don't need all that. We can just make Gundam into Overwatch. That's all we got to do.
Oh, you're kidding? That's how you just...
They're actually doing that.
Oh, really?
That's Gundam.
They're actually making. Yeah. Yep.
Take a popular anime
Apparently
franchise
they want
and
to
turn it into multiplayer first-person shooter.
Yeah, apparently they want to get into the esports thing.
Isn't
That was
that-
the other thing Bandai was trying to do.
Isn't that real-time Mech Warrior? Isn't that all that is?
Basically, and we already had Gundam Battle Operations, so
Yeah, I remember they made a Ghost in the Shell first-person shooter. It wasn't the best.
2, 3, 4, 5 as Smutboy and Cass. Have you ever seen Armor Trooper Votums? That's Votums. That's a good one.
Why does it sound familiar?
I've
Voton.
never seen it myself, but someone in another server I'm in, she loves that series.
It is an excellent series, and it is the peak of mecha, like in the 80s.
I've heard that name.
I had mentioned it earlier when on, I think it was Sisyphus Experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I will check all these recommendations that you guys give top billing for. I'll be like, yep, I'll check it out. So, not a
I
problem.
always forget to make a list.
Oh, I keep track, guys. All these guys,
So-
you
so
guys have
lazy.
so many references I don't get. I'm like, I'm stupid. What are you talking about? So anyway, we have 6-7 minutes here. Let's keep going.
Breathe new life into a genre that had previously just been dominated by the Gundam franchise, loudly exclaiming to new fans, here's what's cool about the genre. These shows weren't popular because they were mecha shows, they were popular in spite of that, and they made people into mecha fans. The influence and legacy of everything from Tessujin through Mazinger Z.
So like, is he suggesting that like Gundam and like all those other shows were popular because they had robots in them? Like it wasn't that the show was actually entertaining.
Yeah.
He is saying that up till Code Geass and Gurren Lagann, these shows were just like because big stupid robots, and everyone liked them in spite of the robots. Fuck you, Giga, and fuck you and your terrible voices. Oh!
Yeah, we watched.
I hope sometimes like he could return to the BBC and clean toilets like he used to.
Oh no. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I love watching Eva for the characters.
Nobody.
What?
Okay,
Hey, Smut, have you ever seen like that video on YouTube called Michael Bay's Evangelion? I think that's exactly for you. Like
Maku?
that's version.
Who's Maku?
Michael Bay's Evangelion.
Michael Bay.
Oh, Michael Bay.
Only
I know
the, only the
I saw it
explosions.
yesterday. Couldn't know. Well, there's explosions, but Shinji's not a wuss. We'll say that much.
Ah.
That's like the appropriate version for.
Yeah, but he's,
All right.
in the video, he just seems to say random things that he thinks sound smart now. I have a hot take. I have a hot take for you. Or hot question. Is the subgenre or subgenre that is Kantai collection a new take on Mecha?
It is not a new take, no, but it is a take.
Yeah, I would say it's taking the magical girl genre and transforming it into the idol / alien girlfriend genre, because you have girls who are part machine.
Witches do that too?
Sorry?
Magical Mecha Girl.
I think Strike Witches.
Yeah, same idea. But they're
I try to forget that one.
But they take in like history of like warships and they name that after a girl. And there's a few mobile games that do that. So it's interesting how that works.
I remember a little one that I did like was quaint. It was called Stelvia of the Universe. And it had the boy who was piloting the mecha who was going to save the universe. But he was a side character. The show was about the nerd girl that was writing the interface for the mecha. And she, so the super nervous over what's the word? Over engineering girl, and it was mainly a cute school story, like space pilot, Japanese high school in space station to learn how to fly the little ships and the mechas, and it was mainly focused on that and a bit slice of lifey. And I like the idea of, okay, we have this mecha stuff and there's the hero thing, but we focus on the potential girlfriend and how she saves the day by the end is, oh wait, all this because she puts all the data on his screen because she thinks, oh, he might need this and this and this and this, and no, in the end she realizes, wait, no, I'm overloading him with information that he doesn't need, and then just makes an intuitive interface out of it that just shows him the one data point that he really needs, and that's how he saves the universe. I like that.
All right. Yeah, no, they turn many things into a slice of life in Japan, whether it's manga or anime or just novels. So
I just have to say that I absolutely despise Giga's take on mecha because he's one of those people where whenever mecha shows up in discussion, he will shit on it as a genre. Like flat out, he despises mecha. The only parts of mecha that he likes are from very, very few creators. Like with the Gurren Lagann creators.
Yeah.
Or Sunrise.
The popular takes, yeah.
Why does he make such a positive video?
To like get viewers to believe him.
You know, I had friends who were big into Japanese anime from China, and they loved the original like 0083 universe of Gundam because of the story and the characters and the problems that they had to go through, regardless of the animation style. They always says that was the base. Like that, if you want to get into a good story, that's where you go for Gundam. And then, You can go to the higher like 90s and 2000s era if you really like it. But there's a certain universe of Gundam, and there's various tiers of universes that continue on. I don't know them all, but so it's like if you like that universe, you'll like the rest. So all right, that's a fair way of putting it. But there's so many. There's a lot to follow, and I can't remember half of them. So, but it's fun.
The main thing is you see.
Yeah, that's the benefit of Gundam is that a lot of these stories are self-contained.
Yeah, that's what makes them entertaining. As like, here's an episode of this where they do that. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense within the technological level and what the guy can and can't do and who he's fighting against, and he's struggling and he wins the day through ingenuity and guile. You're like, yeah. As opposed to, I'm a genius and I didn't know I could do this until I tried. You're like, okay, that's good.
Yeah, Giga's take on Mecha being, people like it in spite of mechas, as if people before were literally just waving their hands in the air whenever the big robots showed up is asinine.
Yeah, that's the problem with Eva as a idea. Is you see them doing backflips and firing a freaking gun like they're a sniper, like a giant sniper. It's like all these weird scenarios. You're like, brain doesn't register. Just can't make sense of thing.
Screaming geometric shapes.
Eating an angel to get its heart core engines, so you don't need umbilical cords. I'm like, I don't know what's happening anymore. Yeah.
Well, the issue there is that if every fight scene was connected to the characters, which is why everyone keeps fangirling over End of Evangelion, with what's the tsundere's name? Asuka? Asuka?
Yeah. You got it.
All right.
Yes, it's Oscar.
Yeah, there's a very specific scene where she gets the shit kicked out of her, where her mech gets hurt, and she herself starts screaming like a banshee. And that entire scene is very characteristic of her, in the entirety of her as a character and the mecha being an extension of her.
Yeah.
But for the rest I've seen, like the main character's movements in the EVA 1, it acts nothing like Shinji. It doesn't move like Shinji, and it feels like there is no character once it starts focusing on the mechs.
I don't think ever Unit 1 moves at all at the end of Evangelion movie. It just flies to the center and it just stays in that position.
Well, the whole motivation of Asuka was...
Well, it reflects Shinji's psyche. He's just mopey inside.
Oh god.
And Asuka, she is extroverted. She is constantly bursting with emotion, if you will.
It's just maybe Unit 1 finally gets those wings that were hyped in the opening sequence for Evangelion, and he does nothing with them. He's just floating.
Well, with Asuka,
just like I know he's like farting in your face.
Oh god, yeah, that's the whole series. With Asuka, she's so depressed because she can't show off to her mommy, and then she realizes, I'm doing this for my mommy. I'm motivated by pride. And you're like, okay.
Mom was always with me. Mom is in this ever.
And then she loses, and she's calling for her mom, and like, okay, yeah, you're a 4-year-old girl. We get it.
Well, it does fit with her personality because she is.
Yeah, well, that's not
stunted.
That's not the character I would enjoy watching. Which is why I haven't seen Evangelion, by the way.
Good. Smart man.
all these kids are completely emotionally stunted in different ways.
Well,
and they don't overcome it.
Ray is just there. I don't think she's emotionally stunted. She just
she is at least like a series like explains that she's just a tool. Like she's a doll, essentially with the soul.
It's I don't want.
I can certainly feel the barrier between. Oh yeah, I like the way that the characters and the Mecha extensions of them. Meanwhile, Smut is looking at Asuka screaming for her mom. It's like, yeah, this is who we got to save us. Ugh.
Oh yeah, it's great motivation. I can't wait to see her die again next time I watch this. Like,
look, Shinji is depressed, self-hating, and what was the third one?
Avoidant.
Avoidant.
Horny.
Scared.
He's a boy. That's normal.
Terrified.
Asuka is
masturbating next to a comatose girl is not normal, Whisp.
That is true.
No,
but
on
that's
the
movie.
girl.
I'm just talking series.
Hey, I only saw the hand, so
I'm just talking about the series. Asuka is a narcissistic, abusive douchebag who is compensating a lot for her inner turmoils. So she is hurting others in order to distract herself from her self-hatred, and Rei is just anhedonic. And since that is all she is, she has no drive for anything.
Oh no, she likes glasses a lot. She loves glasses. It's very important.
What a riveting character motivation. Glasses.
Is that because her original, the mother had glasses?
No, it's because Gendo saved her because, I don't know, Gendo's weird, and she liked that because she's alive.
He wears glasses.
And his glasses broke, and I don't know.
Oh, those were his, right. Okay. So long ago.
Don't even.
It was all part of the manipulation, so like it could build some support for Rei, so she's actually like more convicted.
Yeah, they designed the plug so that you have to burn your hands to pull out the lock, and it's bad. So he hurt his hand.
But it was handy because like Gendo just happened to need like a wound, so like he can insert Adam into his hand.
Was it ever disclosed?
It was all elaborate plan. Like no. Like there's like an episode where it's like shows that like where's Adam, the embryo. Like, it's inside Gendo's hand. Why was this needed? To access Lilith.
I don't remember that, and I don't want to. Okay, let's let's keep going, please.
I just wanted to know: was it ever disclosed how many days clones have been active in the series?
2.
Yes, 2. Only 2.
Just
because
2,
the first one was a child that got killed by. I don't care. Let's just go on.
You know what? I don't care. Just keep going.
Come on.
Okay. Before we start, he's going to keep going on how Kogias was the second coming of Christ. So I guess this is the obligatory shilling of the actual good part of Kogias, Aikido the Exiled. If you guys haven't seen it.
Okay.
Which one?
Aikido the Exiled. It is
I've heard of it.
It is a OVA of Kogias.
Yes.
The one that plays in Europe?
It took like, I don't know how many years to come out, and it was a 2-parter or a 3-parter? And
it's 4 parts.
It's 4, yeah, that took like this ridiculous amount of time to come out as well. So, was it a side story, or what was it exactly?
It's a side story.
A side story.
Yeah, okay.
Of the wars that were taking place against Britain around the world, which features animation help by the director is the same guy that did Escaflowne. If you guys have seen that one.
No, it's really well, like visually, it's very, very well done. So
this is also Sunrise.
I believe so.
The guys who did Kogias, I don't remember. Yeah,
it is Sunrise.
That was Gonzo.
Like Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, it's Sunrise. Okay.
The best part about the series is easily the fight scenes, especially with the main mechs being spider-like walkers, which is a really neat idea.
Mm-hmm.
But ironically enough, the biggest issue the show has is whenever it tries to play along with the idea that it is set in the Kogias world, where you'll have this really cool story of these basic special ops moving into an area and fighting these super Britain units, and then suddenly you cut back to their base being attacked by the evil British Nazis. And you're like, oh right, I'm watching Kogias.
Yeah. It looks good. There are some good scenes in the show. Again, it took so long for the other remaining parts to come out. I dropped it, so I couldn't remember. It took too long. Does anyone know how? Yeah, what did I miss?
At least you missed the part where they spent 2 episodes on gaining followers on Twitter to keep the war going.
Okay. Yeah.
What?
That was
really?
Yes, that's a plot point.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, I'm glad I skipped it, but I did like the first episode at least. That was entertaining. All right, let's keep going.
Mobile Suit Gundam, Evangelion, and beyond had a huge payoff over these few short years. This golden age, however, would be short-lived. For as we move on now, just over 10 years later, Mecha simply has not flourished in the same way since.
Okay.
This show that he's hovering over is Cross Ange, a very good anime, I believe. I believe it is. Yeah, it's Cross Ange. A very good mecha if you guys haven't watched it.
Okay.
So here we are today, the gradual decline of a genre that was once the juggernaut of this medium. Now, I'm by no means saying there haven't been any great series over the last 10 years, but it should be clear to everyone by now that mecha is nowhere near as prevalent as it used to be. Gundam has been reduced to OVAs which mainly appeal to the hardcore fans, with Iron-Blooded Orphans failing to garner the mass appeal it really needed. The small amount of new original IPs have fallen flat, even though the likes of Star Driver, Captain Earth, Aldno Zero, Knights of Sidonia, and Valve Rave have tried, none have come close to succeeding. And if you're a dedicated mecha fan, the chances are that you've become a minority in the modern anime community.
Oh no.
They've been a minority since the 90s. They've been a minority since the 80s and 90s.
Mm-hmm. This comes back to what I said in the beginning. There's so much more stuff. There's so much more stuff now, and such a wider audience that it can just be the same size audience. It can be a bigger audience. It will relatively be a smaller audience, but it can in total be a bigger one.
Yeah, I don't think it's
and that is what makes it that is what makes these arguments a bit questionable.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to hit Shonen Jump levels of popularity that they'll be in the manga or they'll be in the magazine, but there's still an audience for it. People love this stuff. And I remember growing up going to comic book stores and seeing these, like, you saw the Transformers, but like Mecha had like gigantic kinds of transformations, and they were just like twice as big as the Transformer toys. And they're like they're amazing. Like you see these, I don't know, they're like half a meter tall, and they're just amazing looking statues that you can play with and transform. I wouldn't play with them because they're so, beautiful. But yeah, you could transform them into a jet, and they'd be like, "Holy crap, it's amazing!" And
also, like, what? Hey, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was like everyone in the 80s are like, Transformers are cool. Here's a really cool Transformer. Here's a big set, and then you have like Japan going, "Well, here's ours." You're like, "Oh, that's how you do it." Like, that's amazing. It's such a culture shock to see the toys that Japan was coming out at the time.
The big advantage that anime has over, this is a general thing that anime gets right, which a lot of Western stuff doesn't, is that you don't need mass appeal to be successful.
Yeah, the publisher just needs the right marketing.
The Japanese have understood that is a viable strategy and always was in human history in any market.
Yeah, they get the funding from the advertisers.
It's just that the West has this weird obsession with, we need the super wide audience, so we need to water down everything instead of appeal to the niche. Like, it's why I always bring up the example of EVE Online. That is a super niche of a video game type, and it is stable. It rakes in profits. But it appeals to a very, very, very special type of gamer.
Do you guys
a group of gamers, because even the players of EVE Online vary in their interests in what they love about the game, what they love doing in the game.
There was
from the stockbrokers to the manufacturers to the truckers.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember Trade Wars. I don't know if you guys have ever, before the birth of the internet, I don't know if you guys were young enough, but there were bulletin board systems, or BBSs, which is basically you had your modem, you dialed up to another phone line that had a server, and that was basically before we had web servers, we had these servers that you could host data and play multiplayer games. One of them was called Trade Wars, and the whole game was all you do is it was a text-based adventure, so you would go from space station to space station. You would trade 3 different things: organics, metals, and robotics, or whatever the 3 categories were. and all you did was made money. And you would buy a better ship to do better trades, have better cargo holds. You'd have fighter ships to protect your ship. You'd build bases on planets, and you would have this giant career spanning the galaxy. That appeals. Like when I heard of EVE Online, I'm like, oh, okay, what can you do? You could buy ships and make your entire economy and have fights. It's like, oh, so it's basically trade wars with the extra steps of having, you know, visual 3D and sound effects and real-time multiplayer. And I remember playing those games. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but you would connect you'd have this is like proto multiplayer games. And I remember a buddy of mine setting up a server and making his own Trade Wars game, and I would call him because you'd use his actual phone line, so I'd call his phone line at like 8 o'clock at night because no one would call. His mom wasn't using the phone, and we would play Trade Wars for that one period. So, I remember that so well. Then I hear of these like, other games that are now popular. It's like, yeah, that's pretty much what was going on 10 years ago.
It's the same. It fills the same niche.
Yeah, it's always been there. The desire for this content has always been there, and now we have not only different flavors of it, like subgenres, but we have it in higher definition. OVAs. We have movies now that we can appreciate. I remember waiting for the Fate movie, the third. What was it called? Something Flower or Butterfly? Heaven's Feel. Yeah, it was split into 3. So it was like something Butterfly, and then there was a flower one, and it took so long to come out because of what happened past few years. So like that, I was waiting for it because I don't want to sit through playing a mistranslated adventure game or visual novel. I'd like to see what and the graphics, the visuals are gorgeous, and it's finally our intrepid hero is no longer a retard. He actually stops being, okay, I'm not going to save the world. I'm going to just save one girl. Okay, it's a good idea. Okay. You're more realistic this time. And it's so dark and twisted and adult. You're like, holy crap, this got really serious very quickly. And fans of Fate Stay Night go, oh yeah, the story gets better and better as what you expect to happen. Because because you played the other two routes. Change. You're like, oh, what happens this time? Oh, wow, Gilgamesh gets his ass kicked. Why? How? Stuff like that, which really makes you appreciate how stories are told that allow the audience to play the same thing 3 times over with replay value because you want to. You like it so much.
So I think there was Presage, Flower, Lost Butterfly, and Spring Song.
Wow.
Neat.
Fancy dancy titles, yeah.
Wisp brings up
it is Fate, so.
Yeah.
Also, what the hell? Gundam only OVA since then? Did this dude miss the Build Fighters and Build Diver series?
Yeah, not
this was 2 years ago, so
yeah.
Or he didn't care.
Yeah. Build Diver was not for everyone, I don't think.
Build Diver was actually good. Like Build Fighters, Build Divers, that stuff is it's the biggest Gundam thing that's been since Unicorn.
Unicorn, really? Wow.
Yeah, which was also an OVA, which is why I am quietly seeing.
And then you got an original series.
Yeah, and Gundam Unicorn was so successful that it spun into its own thing as a continuation of the original timeline. Despite the fact we are past this timeline point a long, long time ago, back in the 80s and 90s. But he made the point that only hardcore fans can actually follow the story. That is complete horseshit. Once again, most of the people that I talk to that are casual anime fans will say that Gundam Unicorn is their favorite, despite knowing jack shit about the previous stories and remembering nothing about Unicorn except that the mechs are cool.
Yeah, I remember people talking about niche Gundam like Turn A, which is cool. I liked it, but it appealed to my taste because it was so strange and different than what I was expecting. And it had music by Yoko Kanno.
And the mech designer did Blade Runner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The mech
that was one of the big things that...
Okay, because the mech design was pretty plain outside of the mustache, but everything else was like pretty like just a robot. Looks like a standard Gundam looking thing.
A pod with legs.
Wait, you looked at a pod with the legs and said, "Oh yeah, that's standard mecha."
It's been a while, guys. I can't remember exactly all of them.
It's like the main bad guy.
No. I remember the main turning Gundam because it was controlled by his mind or something. Like he was a moon child, so he could walk into it no problem and just manipulate it, which I liked a lot better than
a little cockpit.
Yeah, it was a lot better than having he's a superior human or he's a innovator or whatever. He's hooked up to a computer. He's like, he's just a moon child. He's different species.
He was a pacifist that didn't mind actually doing violence when it's necessary.
Right.
Which is the same version of a pacifist.
All right.
Which also the Turn A carried cows, so I mean that's very nice towards the livestock.
What? How could you forget these things, Smart? Honestly.
I honestly don't remember much of the plot of the anime. I remember the music. I remember what the kid was trying to do, because he was just there to just investigate what Earth was like, and he just ends up helping at a house, and as a farmhand or whatever. And it's like, oh, the world is a wonderful place. And I was like, oh, this is a cool little setup. And then the rest of the story kind of goes off the rails, not in a crazy way, but just like in a not so very memorable way. Oh my God, yeah, that I remember, yeah.
I'm just thinking, Turn A Gundam is one of the most memorable shows for its crazy designs, and you're sitting here going, "Oh yeah, I don't remember any of them."
Honestly, it was a while ago, but I liked the basic setup of the story, and the rest of the story sort of lost my interest. So I probably didn't watch too much of it.
Yeah, to be fair, I need to actually get back to watching it myself.
It was attractive enough, meaning the visuals, the music was amazing. And the concept was simple. All right, I can get on board with that. So
that guy did the mecha for Xenoblade?
No.
Because the design at least looks inspiring.
That's a stretch.
The big thing about Turn A Gundam is that it was post Tomino depression after he'd gone into therapy.
Oh, nice.
So this was basically his first return to the anime scene after he'd gone through therapy. And just for context, he was reaching a psychosis back after the original Gundam series was done. So after his therapy, he came out with Gundam Turn A, and the biggest surprise was that he didn't kill someone on production.
Okay.
All right.
So that could go a ways to explain why the plot gets so weird. Like, one of the best scenes in the show is one where a nuke goes off in the middle of the night, and one of the characters goes, a sunrise during midnight is a terrible thing, it should never happen. Which is probably one of the best scenes, I'd say, in all of Mecha, but if you can't remember it, then yeah. Doesn't hold much impact.
I probably remember the music that went with it, not the actual reasoning behind the scene, because it was very well done as a production, and it was not like this big epic thing, which I liked, because usually it's like war is big and there's big explosions and big robots. Like, no, it's just there is war, but it's not that huge of deal. Like Gundam 00, which is like, oh, you're gonna control the galaxy because you have the solar furnaces. No one can control the solar elevator. Okay.
If you like the Turn A, I can recommend Overman King Gainer, which is very much more crazy Tomino post-depression.
I have anime to watch. I don't. What the hell? It's bookmarked. I don't remember the names, but I think one of my isekais just finished up 2 weeks ago, so. Got some other stuff to look at. But anyway, let's get on with the video.
How did this happen? It would be easy to say that trends come and go, and in a genre that is 60 years old now, there is little room for something new and innovative. But
was that Akito?
That was Aikido, yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it looked familiar. Okay, great. See how good that animation was? Like, wow, it's so cool.
Now, having looked through its rich history, I believe the problem could run deeper than that, and there are two main points I want to address. Firstly is the current landscape of our time. Mecha found its roots from the impact of World War II, and because of this, war has always been a prevalent theme in the genre. War against an oppressor, war against an unknown entity, the moralities of war. It's something that we as humans have had to deal with throughout our history, but right now, war isn't at the forefront of the general consensus.
That's a stretch.
Bad timing.
Even if we didn't have the war with Ukraine, that's not an argument. People know war is bad. People like stories about war. People like history. People are fine with conflict, especially violent conflict where it's organized.
And there was always a war that the West had in some place, usually in some desert sandbox.
Yeah, and the Americans are very, not militaristic, but they're very cognizant of combat and war and fighting. So
The question is, how does this guy scale success? Like, just in the Western sphere? Because in the Eastern sphere, Mecha hasn't changed. It's always had its dedicated fan base. So he must be referring to the West.
yeah, and there's been those giant sculptures of mecha built in Japan over the years.
Yeah, a genre must be quite liked for projects like that to come into being.
Let's make a giant 4-story mecha. It's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, life's one-to-one size, original size mecha.
There was a full, I believe it was during back in 2019 or 2020, where they unveiled a full-size voter machine, the Scope Dog. So, which is a franchise that hasn't seen a release since 2017, I believe. So if his scale must be just on the Western hemisphere, because Japan seems to never have gone. Well, there's been a certain drought in mecha, so to say, but in recent years, especially 2020 and 2021, we've seen a lot of mecha suddenly coming up, like the new season of Get a Robo and the revival of Mazinga. Like,
isn't Sentai also meandering on?
Sentai will always meander on regardless of genre hype. Now
it's like some cultural thing that's just there. It's just I think it's like Lederhosen in Bavaria.
Really?
Pretty much.
Okay, well, even the works of American authors like Hemingway, he always talks about war or the Spanish War or whatever's happening in Europe. People are still going to read it regardless of the times, either for historical reference or because it's about war, and they like stories like that. So that's a weird take. I don't understand that as someone who consumes media, saying, the genre or the setting of war, no, not very popular, not very relevant. It's like, really?
Goo Dragon makes a good point. That one didn't age quite so well.
Yeah, well.
I've another dumb question. Can you look at Sentai as the modern form of kabuki theater?
Oh. Okay.
I do not know enough about kabuki theater to make a educated statement, but from the outside looking in, I would say it is certainly carrying parts of it.
Yeah, because it's absolutely culturally ingrained. It is inherently Japanese in every way. It has these over-dramatized movements, and it's always the classical story. Basically, it's always the same classical story.
Now,
Bandai did come out with a newer series called. Oh, go on.
Okay, I was going to say, Whisp might have hit the nail on the head there. She said that it's a very culturally embedded thing, and just looking from how people react to giant robots, that might be the issue here. A lot of the people that are seeing mecha around the 2000s and 2010s are the kinds of people that are looking online. They're no longer just picking up DVDs from your local Blockbuster or whatnot, or seeing what VHS get imported. Now they can pick and choose what they're gonna watch. A lot of the mecha is inherently embedded into Japanese culture. that has such deep roots into other mecha that a lot of people look at that and think, weird.
Yeah.
Weird Japanese thing.
Yeah, this is the same issue with horror TV or streaming content or science fiction. It's like we need, where's a good thing to relax and watch a good horror series or a good science fiction stories? We don't really have that anymore. And the only thing we could default to is if you have Amazon Prime or Plus or whatever it's called. And I think The Expanse is like the most well-known that say, okay, that is an attractive, reasonable story compared to everything else out there. I'm not saying it's good, but out of everything else, this is the best we got at the time, in current time. Maybe tomorrow we'll get a new series that is actually decent. They'll turn it into a yearly thing, but we can't. We have nothing. You know, Star Trek, which I'm covering on my channel, is just, it's a farce. It's become a yesteryear member-berry recollection of just, do you remember Guinan? Here she is. Okay. Remember the Enterprise? Well, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're doing something. Yeah. It's just remembering.
It's not Star Trek. It's not even fan fiction.
Yeah, so we want classic stories in the genre of anything. I don't care. Give me a story about going to the moon. It doesn't bother me how technologically advanced the setting is. Just give me that sci-fi world. And we get that with mecha anime and manga. It's still there. You can go and find it. It's hard to find the mangas out there, but they are there because we have so much manga, and it's everything. Mm-hmm. It's just every genre imaginable. So
yeah, how the sci-fi especially fails, because all the shows are the same that are now ruined by this political agenda crap. But for sci-fi specifically, it is that good sci-fi is about the phenomenon that we're looking at in this episode, or maybe 2 episodes. Sometimes it's a double. And the characters react to that, interact with that, deal with that. But this crap that we have right now is, here are the characters that we know, they do things. It's the characters, and there is almost no phenomenon.
Well, with the science fiction of mecha anime, specifically Gundam, like I can go back to Gundam Wing. And the special thing about the mecha there was the Gundams have a metal, and that's why they're so good, that they have this really powerful, this dense metal that they get shot at, they're fine. With other, like I think it was 00, they have the engines, so they have a special energy output that the other mechas don't. So there's always some science fiction element in these stories where you go, oh, okay, this is believable to a point, because some of the, even Gundam Wing is pretty corny with the scythes and the whips and the other weapons that don't seem very conventional, but that's fine if you want to be fancy. And
the operating system that sells the future.
There's the OS, especially in the one that I'm watching now with Muv-Love. The guy wants an OS based off his video game controls, and everyone's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" It's silly. So if there's enough sci-fi or science fiction elements, then you'll get that audience as well to watch a Japanese anime, which is just a silly cartoon when compared to other science fiction. But there's enough technological know-how, especially in the mechanical engineering, which I loved from the 80s and 90s mangas, that even with like Oh My Goddess, the guy was a mechanical engineer and he went to school and he designed all these wonderful engines and bikes and like real bikes. Like he just drew bikes that he either owned or took apart. And you would see, was it Kenichi or Kenchi? He was a student at whatever Polytech Institute, and all his friends were into that. And they would just take it. So you see these wonderful backgrounds of like the shop he's in. There's all these bike parts, and they're cleaning them and putting them together. So that level of detail, combined with the content of science fiction, is what we want. It could be about politics. It could be about magical girls turning into machines. We don't, that's fine. It doesn't really bother me. Keep me grounded in the science fiction. And I go, all right, a bipedal robot that has maintenance done on it every time it goes out makes sense. Good. Go with that. So I like that.
I was going to mention Oh, sorry. You were going to say something, Ron?
Yes, I was going to say last year, about fall 2021, Sunrise came out with Kokai Senki. That was a 13 episode, I think it's first season. Somebody dropped. Anyway, it was a war, like a post-war Japan, divided into 4 military regions, and they have like robots with AIs. It's something interesting I was trying to look into, and they're actually trying. It's a newer series that it's not Gundam. Sunrise is trying to make another mecha show.
Right.
And the reason why that is noteworthy is because last time I tried that, it was with Valrape, or Valrape the Liberator, and Cross Ange, also known as Rape Ange, which both were not well received, at least not by the wider anime community.
Interesting. Huh.
So that was back in after the big Gundam Seed Destiny, and Code Geass hype. They were trying to branch out into other unique or original franchises, and that failed horribly, and they lost a lot of money on that.
Interesting. Okay. All right. We got 5-6 minutes left. All right.
Relatively speaking, we're in a more peaceful time without the worry of war, Twitter dick measuring contests about nuclear weapons aside, and in its place are the fight for social political issues or localized tragedies. War stories just don't captivate us as much as they used to,
yes,
and
they do.
grand epic mecha warring plot lines have less of a place in this time. Not only that, but the landscape of anime itself has changed. We are in a time of the seasonal, competitive, hard-hitting 13-episode anime series, and for a
What was Violet Evergarden about? Android from War? She was a weapon of war.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems pretty relevant. I mean, it doesn't matter what era. Again, it's people like stories about. I have my mom. She takes out books from the library all the time. She loves books that happen about in or and after and during World War I and II. And they're great. They're great stories. They're based off real events. They have recipes in them. There's love stories in them. There's letters being exchanged between family members. She loves it because it's conflict. It's real. It actually happened in life 100 years ago. It's scary. It's deadly. It's happening right now as well. It doesn't matter if it's a small war, a big war, a little battle, a little skirmish. It's relevant. War will always be relevant. That's why we have countries. We protect our borders for reasons.
Again, this is a very stupid argument for the sake of, war just isn't popular right now. But, bruh.
Yeah,
he says this while we still have long-running series like Attack on Titan.
Right, and we have social issues which are fine, but we're always going to have social issues. Like that's not like a substitute. Mm-hmm. We're not like, we're so concerned about the roads getting paved than we are about bombs dropping. It's like, no, we're concerned about all that stuff.
Yeah, and there always were shorter anime series, the longer ones, then the eternal ones, if you will. And to bring up My Hero Academia for the short season thing, did he watch that?
He watched it and he jerks off to it every time I look at his channel.
But it's not a 12 to 13 episode season stuff. It wasn't the third season normal 26 or something? The 26 range?
Whatever the length is, certainly more than 13. That much I can tell you.
The shonen stuff I don't watch, I can't tell you.
Also, with his previous argument that it's all about the big hitters now, when was it not about the big hitters, like the seasonal stuff? Again, It seems like that's always been a big thing in Japan, especially, where anime would die or live based on their reception on the seasonal anime charts.
Yeah.
Again, it seems like he's talking about the Western Hemisphere and their deranged perceptions of anime. Which does not surprise me, considering Giga has been making active steps to have the West influence anime production. I'm not saying that is his motivation here, that he's trying to undermine the Japanese, but it could be there.
Yeah, he did make the argument that Demon Slayer is dominating all the airwaves or anything like that. So it's like, yeah, okay, it's fine, but it's a different genre. It's whatever people want to watch. There is something for you out there. Not every not every hour of the day, but you will get what you want because not everyone watches everything. That's silly.
Mm-hmm.
Demon Slayer is a counter argument to his previous point about these mecha shields in war being something that you were no longer interested in. Demon Slayer takes place in a post Russo-Japanese war setting.
Yeah, it's surprising that people with guns and swords and weapons are using them for matters of attacking or defending themselves, either in a war or for personal reasons. It's still violence.
And it sounds like a mind reading argument. Like because there is a different focus on animes that are made. Because it's usually just, this thing was really popular that this other game made. Let's make something similar because it inspired me to make something in that vein, but different because I have my ideas into it.
You could.
So then that takes off. That doesn't mean that the audience loses interest in the thing that was before.
All you would have to do is pull up
especially the individual.
Pull up the schedule of every program or station in Japan that's broadcasting this stuff, and we'll go, okay, what's popular? It's like, okay, there's 5 rom-coms every time you turn the TV on. At night, there's some more adult stuff. There's more action. There's more murder. There's more sex and violence. You're like, okay.
Yeah, but also, you can't just judge it by that. You can't just judge it by what is running. You have to judge it by what is the actual audience. What's the viewership?
Well,
if
that's
you can
what I
track
mean.
that.
With the OV, it's like
because by that, if we just go by what is running, we would have to assume that people that the West loves this SJW garbage that is the writing beneath the cellar, because a lot of that stuff is running, but nobody's actually watching it.
I'm trying to remember Neuralities. Like, was it Neuralities or someone as they pulled up the seasonal charts and saying, well, look at how many anime there is for girls and has a female protagonist. And you're like, that's not really the reason why. Yeah, that's not why people watch the content. They don't care if the protagonist is male or female. They care about the genre. They care, is this a sci-fi or a fantasy I'm going to like watching? And they watch it and they go, yes or no.
Is it well made?
Yeah.
I mean, I wish.
Do you know what I found last Friday, Smud?
A quarter on the floor. I have no idea.
I found a rom-com with a Sentai and the Red Ranger falling in love with the main, well, not main, one of the villains.
Yes, that's a manga I read. Yes.
At first, I just found it that day, and I was like, I didn't expect to actually like it as much as I did.
It's quite funny. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty dumb, but it's pretty cute.
If you want to judge a series by the most surface level things, you could always say that, oh yeah, everyone just wants exclusively stories with men in them because our most popular TV shows and movies have male protagonists in them, which is a ridiculous notion. Most people don't really care.
Exactly.
They care about what's below the surface. What kind of character is this?
Yeah, especially when you have space opera stories where there's an ensemble cast anyway, and there's multiple plot lines. You might have a particular actor or actress that you're like, oh, I can't wait to see her do anything, or him. But that's like live action stuff. With anime, it's like, why is this character doing what they're doing? Just tell me why. Are they the right person for the job? Do they have the right motivation? Is their backstory good? Like, that's okay, great. This is perfect. He's great. He's the right dude to do all this. Like, Setsuna is like, oh my God, he's a war orphan. He's purely obsessed with winning and being the best pilot. And that's it. It's all, he's 100% geared up to finishing the mission. It's like, yep, he's the guy. He may not be the best leader, but he's the guy who's like purely gonna stay on target. Whereas everyone else has like a mental condition or is a twin or whatever.
That's another good point.
He was rough in the beginning, but he got a little bit better.
That's another point that he just completely glosses over with the rapid fire mentioning of King Earth and some such, is that these shows that he mentions, a lot of them have very weak or just bare minimum main characters, with the exception of Gargantia, which is a damn shame Gargantia didn't take off. That's another great show you should watch. They have very weak protagonists. Like even Setsuna.
Well, I think he has too much to watch as it is.
At this point, yes. But even Setsuna, I'm about to say Cicero, Hero, what's his face from Lelouch. All these characters, while most of them I might fucking despise because they're, well, plot armor galore, they are noteworthy main characters and they allow you to attach to them.
Yeah, they have one virtue or vice that's very clear, and it's part of their backstory and why they're doing what they're doing. And that's pretty much all you need. You don't need too much backstory to explain the setting to that degree. Like the whole villain with Setsuna, that crazy warlord dude, like that was too much. They was like, all right, we don't need this psychopath to chase him around and show off how big his dick is. It's like it's not necessary. He has enough problems to deal with. He has plenty of targets and villains to deal with. But they completely played him as the soldier, which is great.
It just seems like Giga is getting way too deep under the surface to the point where he blocks out the sun that's staring him right in the face.
I think he's taking a bird's eye view and not actually listening to these shows, why they are popular. And why it's not because you're competing against everything else. It makes sense that they're not going to be number one all the time. That's fine, but they're still relevant. They're still there. They're not going away. So
you mentioned Demon Slayer earlier. That has a very strong main character and supporting character, and as I mentioned earlier, it is set in a post-Russo Japanese setting, which is a very rarely charted territory.
Yep. Yeah, that's. Set up very well.
Yeah, it's not about a familiar setting, as you mentioned, with war being relevant. You don't need war to be irrelevant for you to get hooked on the show, regardless of what is in it. It has a lot more to do with, can you get attached to the characters involved?
Yeah, the same with shonen stuff like Naruto. It's not just about summoning giant frogs and doing all this ninja magic. It's about, is this character worth my time to pay attention to, and why? It's not because he's a good fighter. I'm sure that's fun. It's mostly about why he's doing what he's doing, what's his motivation, what's his backstory, what's his goal, what's his plot. And the setting could be anything. It could be a ninja from 400 years ago, or it could be in the future. It doesn't really matter to me. But because it's about all of these things, it has all these elements, there's so many characters running around, and it is popular, they have to branch out and pick apart characters and their motivations, like what Hinata's doing and her family problems and Sasuke's family problems. It's just this giant drama, really, when you look at it, which happens to be with ninjas doing magical things and villains doing magical things. And fine, great. It'll keep you entertained. You'll keep the action going. You'll keep the drama going. There's a bit of silly romance and comedy. It's a little bit of everything for everyone, which is which is the problem, because it's never focused on one thing until it gets like super dramatic in certain episodes, because he's trying so hard and he's not giving up, and he's losing his limbs and he's fighting, and all that wonderful struggle.
But the central point there is the quote-unquote catchphrase of Naruto wanting to become Hokage. And it's a wonder what such a simple but clear motivation can do for a franchise. Yeah,
that's his overall plot, but when we get to the reasons why you watch the show or why it's more popular, that's his like end goal. It's about what he's trying to do and how he gets there. He's fighting for his friends. He's going to always fight for Sasuke. He's completely moronic, and because he's so focused, he's completely moronic on everything else. Like, he's not that smart. He's not very savvy with the girls. He trains really hard.
Great tactician.
No, he's not good at tactics or strategy, rather. But then they have the character who is, right? And then they have the genius character, and they have the genius character who tries hard, and they have the guy who sucks at everything except for combat. And they have all these flavors of Naruto in different characters.
And it's all framed within the journey to get to his destination.
Exactly. That's the overarching thing. Exactly, yeah.
But what is to bring this over to Mecha, what is the overarching plot for, let's say, Setsuna? What is his goal? What is his motivation?
Survive, maybe?
Exactly.
To rid the world of twistedness.
Yeah, the distortions, whatever that means.
Exactly. What does that
all
mean?
The evil of the world.
We know what a Hokage is from episode 1. What does ridding the world of all twisted nature mean?
Yeah.
Conflict, all misunderstandings. The whole deal with Setsuna was trying to basically bring peace in the world. Even at the time, he didn't know how to really do it, and was gung-ho about fighting, which he thought was how it was supposed to be, until the bull crap in season 2, where the whole reason the freaking GN particles did what they did, so they could basically cause everyone to understand each other. That's what 00 was trying to do at the end. Rid conflict by having every human being understand how each person feels.
Now I understand how you feel.
That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, it's a bit hokey.
You can't. Yeah, I mean, people like Aliel Sanchez, you just can't. No matter what you feel, they just want to cause chaos and hurt people. Yeah, it's just going to happen. Yeah, it's human nature.
And the villains are I'm egotistical and superior to everyone, therefore I should be in charge. Or I'm an honorable fighter and I want to fight you. Or then there's that other guy who's just chaos. He's just, I'm a mercenary and you're a little kid and I'm going to beat you up. And you're like, okay. Anyway, let's get back.
Before we do, where is it? Yeah, Eco Dreamer brings up a very good point. We don't need to have lived in ancient Greece to have a show about the Athenians.
Mm-hmm. In fact, that's kind of why we want to have a show, because it's about a topic we might enjoy that we've never or can never experience.
That's why the Japanese make so much anime in fantasy medieval Europe.
They never had it.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Genre that generally likes to tell compelling epic tales that require the time investment of developing a large cast and building a rich world, it's hard to compete. Fact of the matter is, you usually need at least 25 episodes to tell a decent mech story, with 50 episodes being the optimal, and for this many episodes to be planned and improved from the get-go is becoming increasingly rare in this day and age, and even rarer if you want to do it for a new IP, not forgetting that it still has to compete with every other seasonal anime.
Again, OVAs. Mecha did it very well in the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And as he said, Gundam is all OVA now. And it's like 5 or 6 episodes, and they do it very well. If you guys have seen Gundam Thunderbolt, it's
what is this comparing with, competing with every other seasonal anime? You watch what you want to watch.
Yeah, that's the
same
argument.
If you want to watch several things, you can do that. You watch these things on demand.
Yeah,
they're not on different channels in parallel at the same time, and you can't watch them. Because you have to choose which you watch. Are you retarded?
Yeah, the argument's for anything.
Do you live in the 80s?
It's too generic for him to make that point.
Meaning if it doesn't grab an audience in the first 3 episodes, it'll likely be a flop. The second big thing, as with everything else in this world, is money. Mecha series are expensive to produce, not just because of the commitment of a high episode count as we just discussed, but because of the nature of the shows and the mechs themselves.
No. This is a lie. Mechs are not more a well-choreographed mech fight is not more expensive than a well-choreographed Demon Slayer fight.
Yeah, look at...
But Lalle. Mechs are more expensive than swords.
Well, okay. When you look at Marvel Alternative, it does 3D animation, right? So it might be more expensive to hire 3D animators, but it's not harder, because once you hire them, it's like, I could animate this no problem. I could fix things no problem. It looks good. It's not bad. Like we look at, Berserk and other animes that did 3D poorly. They've solved the visuals at least. It looks okay. So they can get away with all kinds of action scenes, and there's not too many. in Muv-Luv so far. It's all been like escort missions, and it's all tense, and you're like, will they, won't they, where are they, what do we do? And they might have a few shootouts here and there, but it's all about drama. They're setting up all this story about this fight for the crown amidst a world of aliens eating everything up, and then there's this weird internal strife between the Empress and her royal guard, and they're not communicating right or whatever. They're trying to get her, escort her from here to there, and there's all the UN's involved and all this other stuff. Typical conflict. We're not sure what's going on. Go send some units out there, and they're flying through the low ground forests, and people are sniping, and it's cool stuff. All in 3D. Not a big deal. So I like it when you can make 3D look good, and it's easier to do that with Mecha than it is with like Berserk or people.
Anything organic.
Yes.
Another good point is that
Like, even Gundam the Origin did this.
yes, and it did it very well. The ship battles look fucking amazing. Especially the big ones where they're all firing like 500 kilometers at each other. And you just see the rays flying off in distance, and then it slides over to the enemies getting shot at, and they're all crashing into each other as they're screaming for help. It's great.
Oh, I love that about... What was it? What was the name? That big space opera where they did space battles more realistic.
Space Battleship Yamato?
No.
Legacy of the Galactic Heroes?
Live action?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Legend of Galactic Heroes.
That's
where they had
airing.
the giant armadas, and they're still super far away, and they just shoot at each other, and maybe something's gonna hit.
Yeah, that's actually airing
that's
this.
so much more likely for space battles to how they would go, because you have this giant area where there's just nothing in between.
There's actually a German subtitle to it, so I actually like it. It's airing this year.
But somebody who is Alex Halo brings up a very good point. Also, welcome to the chat. What about all those mecha models? And that is a excellent point. If you guys have seen Gundam 79 and Gundam Zeta, those are infamous for having useless robots that show up and get destroyed, because the toys will earn them back all the money they put into the actual production and more. The issue is when the philosophy goes, okay, as long as there's a shiny mech on the screen, people are going to buy it. No, people are going to attach themselves to the characters that are piloting said mech. That's why everyone likes the 00 machine. If it was on its own, no one would care. It looks fucking ugly. And I don't care if O fans get offended by that. It's fucking hideous. But because it's attached to Setsuna, it gets a lot prettier. Which is the opposite of what it is.
I feel targeted.
But that's kind of my point, is that the characters reflect the suits, and that's why they sell very well. That's why the original RX-78 sells well.
And some of the designs outside of that one are pretty good in 00. I actually enjoy the mecha designs there.
I like the grunt suits. Don't like a lot of the main suits. Too gaudy.
The thrones are good. I like the tank one. The innovator guy. The original.
Oh, the Reborn Gundam.
It's basically the heavy weapon Gundam. But it's
the Virtue.
The Virtue, yeah. Oh my god,
the Survey.
It's just a giant tank. He has these two giant guns. It's like, this is all you need. You just need a big tank that shoots big guns. And he has a giant shield. It's like, come on, that's great. And of course, there's the
armor purge for when you need.
The purge is awesome. Everything about that, I was like, I gotta show off my secret special technique. It's like, I hate you all now. He just controls them all. It's like, how the hell did this happen? He just manipulates everything around him. That's
Gorgas Rex brings up a good point. That's like saying space operas must be trilogies because Star Wars.
What?
in reference to the mecha has to be 24 episodes.
Oh, that's silly.
It's a very silly point.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's why The Hobbit has to be a trilogy.
Ugh.
Recent times have seen the rise of using CG to depict mechs, and as subjective as this may be, I think I speak for a lot of us by saying the new standard of CG robots are just less aesthetically appealing than the mechs of old, and have failed to capture the modern audience the same way Nightmare Frames, Arbalest, and Nearvash did for my generation. This is not to say that CG is a product of lack of funds. CG mechs can look good and have looked good, but it seems like all the time, money, resource, and talent to make them look good are poured into OVAs now, which I suspect is to appeal to the hardcore fans because only they at the moment fuel the prevailing lifeblood of mecha: merchandising. History has taught us
That was always the case, you dumb nut. It was always the merchandise. The anime itself doesn't make a lot of money. It's always the merchandise with which the studio makes money. The studio doesn't get jack shit from the licenses in the West. They don't get anything from you watching the dubbed shit that you do. They get it if you buy the original discs. Then they get some money, but you would need to import that, or you import some of the merch. Then the studios get something. The anime studios barely get anything from the West.
Well, fun story in regards to that. The original Gundam series, back when it was airing, back when Gundam was, not Gundam, Mecha shows were just wrestling shows, basically. That got cancelled about halfway into the anime production. Flat out, it had below 0% viewership.
What?
Yeah, it had below 0% viewers.
How can you have negative viewers?
Japanese counting.
Oh, okay.
So
space magic.
I was going to say, ask that woman.
Yeah, so the way you can have negative, as far as I understand, is if someone watches the show and then turns it off before the opening, that counts as a negative view.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, I can see that.
So they came in about halfway into the production, and they get cancelled. And so they're to wrap up the entire story by episode 20. At episode 13, I believe it was. And then they made this big spiel on the radio saying, oh, it's such a terrible shame we're going to cancel because we had all these cool ideas and all these cool robots to show off. And then all the fans started pulling in, and then they started releasing the two last toys. That being the ship, the, is it the Arkema? Not the Arkema, the White Base, and the Saku 2, that Char pilots, and the RX-78 too. Those three toys alone saved the franchise. Yeah, the Saku 2S, thank you. Those toys alone saved the franchise.
Wow.
And they got the production to continue. After which, when the series was wrapped up, it got a re-airing, and after that was done, the director came onto a podcast and talked about the show production, and he ranted about how horrible it was and how he was unhappy about the entire show because he had all these other cool ideas that he wanted to show off, but he never got to finish, so he had enough material for at least a 3-part movie series. And funny enough, after that podcast, he got commissioned for an entire movie series. And that's
that man knows how to sell his ideas.
That's Tomina for you.
Nice. But yeah, so technically, the studios in Japan, it makes no difference to them whether you watch the crappy dub on Crunchyroll or whether you pirate it. Makes no difference to Japan.
Well, Japanese studios would prefer that you just pirate their stuff.
Well, at this point anyway.
Yep.
To make these crappy dubs go away. But and other mistranslations. Yeah, but if you want to help the Japanese studios, like you have to put your arm deep into your pocket because you need to import stuff.
You're gonna be importing $50, $60 DVDs if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
The Hellsing, if you want to import an original copy of the Hellsing OVA, I believe that is $120, not counting import fees.
Yeah, the import fees, that is a lot. Yeah, but maybe you have in your country some importers that import merchandise from Japan. That would actually make sense to buy. If you care about a certain franchise or something. Because that, by extension, those studios do get something from. Because that stuff was bought from them. And that means the importer can keep his business up and import more stuff. And that's how you can circumvent the extremely high import costs.
And that's how the studio knows that that the audience liked the show. There is a very famous story of the Gundam Mobile Suit Team, or Gundam 08 MS Team. Originally, when it aired, people hated it. People absolutely despised it because it wasn't the kind of Gundam show they were used to. Nowadays, it's considered one of the best Gundam shows because, and it shows by the prevalence of those shows that showed up in the show to get new toys, because everyone loved the toys. They bought the toys afterwards to show their support.
Mm-hmm. And who bought Rose Tico?
There's an oldie and goldie.
Ethan Van Sky.
DOJ was such a great movie. Why do you all hate it? You must all love it. Not even the SJWs bought it. Not even the SJWs bought the merchandise.
Speaking of Ethan S Team, Bandai, when are we going to get a 2.0 Easy 8? I want that right now, please.
They're never gonna make it.
It's a damn shame.
All right.
Say that.
Let's get going.
I have to have hope.
And dies by merchandising, and the hot things now aren't gunplas. The patience and skill needed to be.
Hold up. That's some smelling bullshit. Gunpla has exploded in the last 20 years.
Wait, they have their own markers?
For better.
They have their own markers. They have their own.
Yeah, those are touch-up liner markers.
So this is basically Citadel Games Workshop, but good?
Yes. They come out with their own glues, too.
Amazing.
Yeah, the kits are very, very complicated. So it's a hell of a workout. Put those things together.
It's an entire hobby branch, not just in Japan, but the entire world now.
Yep.
And you said this came out...
So you paint them with the markers?
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
Those are mostly for touch-ups.
Yeah.
I'm just asking because I'm used to war painting with paints.
Usually, this for the chat too, a model comes with some areas painted, but then you can buy Gundam markers to touch up on your suit to make sure it perfectly fits what you see on TV or the animation, or you can paint it up as you wish, kind of like a Citadel War paints.
Nice.
All right.
Build your own model kits cause them to have a much higher barrier for entry than simply buying a figure of your favorite digitized waifu. It becomes
That is also an option.
What a surprise.
Yeah, this is...
You know what? A higher level of entry? What the fuck are you talking about? Puzzling the thing together is what you buy.
Yeah,
that's what you pay for. That's the same thing with Games Workshop. You basically buy the privilege of having to put it together yourself.
Yeah, this is like buying... I like apples, well, you like oranges, but they're still fruit. We're still buying something sweet. You just like figures that you buy out of the box. They look cute. I like constructing a weapon of death.
It's like he's complaining that instead of the apple jam or whatever you call it, you have to you are buying apples and have to make it yourself. But yeah, there are people who like to do that, and they like to make it the way they like it. It's not this pre-made crap that is too sweet.
But here's the thing: they do make the pre-made toys.
Also, malarkey. There are different grades for.
Okay.
There's different grades. Hell, it even came out with entry grade. That's just anyone could get into an entry grade. Anyone can do this. It's not difficult.
It's the modern version of a ship in a bottle
Well,
And
this
you
is
can
no
decide
different.
with ship in the bottle by numbers.
Yeah, it's no different than buying a model car you like building and putting together.
Mhm.
Whatever your preferences are, you're going to buy the thing you like.
That's an entire putting things together. Model kits.
Yeah.
Is an entire hobby.
Same with Lego.
There's in Germany there are clubs that are just about that and helping each other and with materials and what to paint better and making little model boats that they then go onto the lake and drive around with it because they built in a little motor and all of that stuff.
That reminds me of one of those characters from Jobless Reincarnation. He's like this prince. He's super strong, but he only cares about building models. And the main character is really good at building models, so he calls him his sensei. That's funny. Or Shisho. It's good. It's just fun stuff.
A hobby rather than a casual purchase, meaning they end up appealing to the dedicated hardcore fandom as opposed to the mass audience, keeping them happy with high.
No. You're an idiot again.
That you would put that.
This is a niche. It is already a niche.
Yeah,
you understand that?
Buying a model is already a niche, and then a subset of that is models that are like intricate, complex, that require work to put together.
Yeah. Is he complaining that there are complex model kits?
Yeah, it's the same thing with buying fruit. Some people like strawberries, some people like oranges, whatever, avocados.
Okay, this guy is not a customer. This guy is a consumer.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, he just wants easy pre-processed food. He doesn't want to cook.
It's like saying, guys, you know what? Strawberries, you wash them, you pop in your mouth, you pull out the ends of the stem. Oranges, you have to like peel apart, you have to like get rid of the pith, and you have to like make sure there's no seeds. It's like, yeah, but I like oranges. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but it goes further. He wants fast food from McDonald's.
And
you want to cook yourself with your own ingredients that you grew in the garden.
And the argument is everyone goes to McDonald's. Like, no, not everyone goes to McDonald's.
Everybody wants McDonald's. Ugh.
Yeah.
But he did a Freudian slip. He said that it is to appeal to the mass audience. Again, they don't need to, and they never had needed to.
Yeah, and the mass audience is this. I think it's almost a Western myth at this point.
Well, does anyone else but Western bullshit companies believe in the mass audience? Well, at this point, we're no longer talking about apples and oranges. We're talking about apples and like a whole other category of food. And it just so happens that the other categories of food are more popular and there's more of it. So there's going to be consumption going in that direction. And we could have amazing mecha anime these days. I don't even know. Maybe
once in a while one will pop out of the niche that will have more general appeal.
Yeah.
But he seems to be living in this delusion that everybody has to like everything.
Well, let's say we have I like the Macross series, so maybe Macross Delta is really good. I have no idea because I haven't been looking for it, and I didn't even hear about it till like last year because I'm inundated with everything else or life in general. So I'll go pick it up eventually. I'll eventually check it out because I like the Macross series in general, and maybe it's awesome. Maybe it's one of the best stories, mecha animes, whatever I've ever seen. But I don't know. It hasn't got any press. I've never heard of it. So there's a whole bunch of the way things go, the way popularity works. There's marketing for it, and you get like mobile games, and you get Facebook groups, and you get all this social media about it. But the stuff that's niche, not so much, if at all. And that's fine. Doesn't make it bad.
Riptos makes another good point. Gunpla makes Bandai stupid amounts of money, hence why they build those giant Gundams in Japan, hence why they want an entire metaverse.
Hence why they have a moving one.
Robots.
They don't just come out the ether, they come because people are into it, people are buying it. And especially during COVID, people were buying a shit ton of Gunpla, to the point that I'm still having to wrestle with people from Korea, Japan, and Spain for some reason to get Gunplas.
Scalping started to hit Gunpla.
Yeah, and that's honestly a reason why I started with Warhammer despite GW being an absolute shitfest of a company. Because I needed something to do. Something that is not computers.
All right. We got 3 minutes.
Completely
roughly.
Understand that.
3-4 minutes. Let's keep going.
Let's go.
Quality OVAs they will definitely appreciate instead of a big push to appeal to the casual viewer. Mecha, it seems,
Casual.
just isn't as profitable for a mass audience anymore, and in its place has seen the rise of new trends. Isekai, shonen, moe, slice of life all fit
This
better
guy
in this
doesn't
modern
understand
landscape
how media
and make
works.
more money too. And I think the most interesting thing to come out of this story is with the rise of idol shows, for as I mentioned earlier, you can see the early roots of idols sprouting from Mecha, and whether it's been AKB48, Idolmaster Xenoglossia, or Macross, the two genres have always
Idol sprouting from Mecha. I think that's a misconception here. Because that's just general pop star stuff making it into anime.
This is in Japan. Idols are a thing in Japan. It doesn't matter what genre they put them into.
But it's just that pop stars have taken a different route of evolution in Japan. That's all.
That's fine, yeah.
And to say that, Mecha made that is.
Yeah,
No,
the argument
it's
would then be like, why isn't Macross so popular? Because there's always an idol in Macross. You're like, well, what? No.
Well, what he means is that the idea of having idols as a plot point became popularized by Mecha.
I don't even...
It's the girl. It's the princess.
Yeah, it's the attractive...
Save the princess. Fight for the princess. That's what that is. Nothing else.
Yeah, it's the attractive entertainer doing the thing that people like watching. It doesn't have to be in mecha anime. It doesn't have to be a plot point in Macross. It's the same thing with magical girl anime.
It's just that's the girl you're fighting for.
She's
Go fight.
Sailor Moon thing. It's the same thing. Pretty girl.
I just find an interesting point because I wonder if he's actually seen like half the shows he's showing off in the video. Because I know he's not a Mecha fan and actively despises Mecha fans.
But I don't think that's the reason why he's unable to make sensible points. I think he's just an idiot.
Well, either way, this is one element found in almost every genre. Cute girls being entertainers. It's like, fine, yeah. That doesn't argue the point that why Mecha is not popular or why other shows are more popular.
Oh yeah, that's another point that some people in chat are pointing out. The original, modern isekai, Dunn, or a Battle of Dunn, that was Mecha. That was also made by Tomino, and that's an isekai.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
been connected. But while the original Macross is more remembered for its mecha elements, the same is no longer true for the franchise, as Macross Delta's main fanbase interactions comes from their idol group. Hell, if we look at Studio Sunrise, the Gundam studio, the studio that thrives on its love for giant robots, we can see that it's not been Gundam that's been their money-making machine for the past decade. It's Love Live. Love Live is the property that has allowed the studio to thrive in the modern age. Yes, you heard it here first. Idols killed mech anime. This, of course, is all my...
No, they didn't. No way.
Bruh.
So a studio
Still
makes
alive.
another
Don't
genre that is more profitable, and therefore it's killed.
Allegedly.
Another.
So far,
Well,
it's just a claim. I hope he'll substantiate that.
Let's assume that. Say you make bread, right? Well, you're a bakery. You make bread, plus you have some deli on the side. All of a sudden, your deli gets more popular. You're still making bread. You didn't close down the bread part of your company. You're
No, it's that bread rolls killed bread because people buy bread rolls in the morning for their breakfast. That's why bread is dead, despite people still buying bread like normal.
Whatever. Strange argument.
I don't know, man.
My own speculation from looking at the history, as there is no definitive answer for why it has happened, but whatever the reason, Mecha has found itself in a sorry state compared to its...
Wait, did he just admit there's no reason?
Yes, he just admitted there is no clear reason. He's just shitposting.
What is he talking about? It's all these probable understandings. He's like, no, I don't understand it.
I know what's happening. We're getting into the crazy last 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're right.
That's I am baffled by this phenomenon that always in the last 2 minutes.
They lose their...
The videos go completely off the bonkers, like, just saying random bullshit.
Before we continue, is there this argument is that, oh yeah, because there are two things they cannot live side by side. It's the artist argument when they shit on themselves because, oh, my cake isn't as good as my neighbor's cake. While everyone else is like, holy shit, 2 cakes? My god.
Yeah.
He just invalidates this weird history lesson for purchasing or watching the popularity of a genre. It's like, okay, well, I guess all those points are invalid.
Doesn't have mass appeal, so it's a failure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does that mean that, hang on, if we're going with this whole, okay, something is popular, therefore something else that was once popular cannot coexist, does that mean that upon the rise of isekai, just shows that are not isekai are just dead? There's not an audience there?
Oh god, this is it's like there's some cognitive function missing. There can only ever be one thing in existence at one time. There must be a name for that.
At best, you could argue you're fighting time slots on like primetime TV.
That's not what I mean. I mean in his mind. There's people like that.
I know, but
that I think everything else doesn't exist at this moment because there's this other thing existing right now that is more prominent right in front of me.
Yeah, if we assume
that's the thing that I'm talking about exists, therefore everything else right now has no value or doesn't exist.
Yeah, if we assume
it's like super weird.
Every genre has the same level of attraction to every single viewer, then it comes down to time slots. You're like, okay, I can only watch one thing at a time. And I can't record things or I can't download things. Something like that. Then you'd be, okay, let's look at the numbers. But right now it's like, no, the popular stuff, everyone's watching the popular stuff, and all the guys who would watch the normal stuff don't watch it. You're like, what? Okay.
Yesteryears, and whether there will be something to reignite it back into its glory days, only time will tell.
Oh, we're done?
So much being made, it looks like there's lots of...
What could the future hold for this genre? It may be too late for a Gundam series to ever have the same level of popularity the likes of Wings, Seed, or 00 did as...
Bruh. I didn't tackle this earlier, but his claim that Iron-Blooded Orphans never got a mainstay appeal, that is absolute horseshit. Back when Iron-Blooded Orphans was airing, my friend who is not into Mecha was bothering me about Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Yeah.
It was the show.
Me too. My cousin did that.
Yeah, it was very mature and violent and wasn't scared to do that. So I didn't watch it, but I did see some clips. I thought, oh, wow, they're not fooling around in that show. So, yeah, no, it was very dramatic.
I didn't have any problems.
Even my brother, who is very not into Mecha, gave Iron-Blooded Orphans a shot, which is something very few mechas can claim that they have. Yeah. So it sounds ridiculous to me to claim that, oh yeah, Gundam just can't go on from here. Okay, that's projection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's this whole thing of his whole claim of, oh, the glory days are over. There's these high quality shows made now that doesn't look like it's in any way gone. It's just a bit different focus right now.
Okay.
Don't understand.
The simple matter of fact is, with how dense the history of Gundam is now, it's a very daunting franchise to undertake for new fans. Overall, it's still going strong though, and likely will always be around, considering how symbolic it is. We'll just choose to ignore the fact that even Gundam has conformed to new trends now, with the next build fighters being based around a VR MMO. We can probably expect idols to show up somewhere as well. It's not...
You show the image of the first series idol. Fuck you. You manipulative piece of shit. Oh, the new one's taking place in an MMO. Yes, because the entire thing is about the progression of mobile suits in reality and how that would transition into real life.
Okay, how culture is affected by it, you mean?
Yeah. So in the build universe, You scan your robot, you go to a shop with a dedicated machine, and you scan it, and you fight it in this VR-like place. And as technology improves, these arenas become more and more elaborate to the point where you can go, like, just hook up your Gunpla into a dedicated shop and just have an entire virtual world. And then there's a subplot with two characters actually, whose entire worlds were wrecked by this. They lost all their friends, who they used to show up, kind of like now with modern tabletop games, where they showed up and they had fun. Where now it's all over digital. Now it's not the same anymore. That's the entire thing about Bill's plot lines.
That sounds like what that would lead into as these simulations get better is that you basically get your population that's interested in that free military training and piloting these things.
That too, but luckily this is a world where everything went right and there is no such thing as war.
Yeah, we're gonna get a full spectrum Gundam game where they train you to pilot the Gundam for military advancement. Okay.
Oh, Smud.
So I take it this guy really likes idol shows?
I think he likes whatever the Twitter allows him to like.
Yeah, no.
But except Mecha.
He's obviously a very popular YouTuber, so he'll say he'll watch whatever his most liked comment will recommend. So anyway.
Not all gloom though, as 2018 looks to be the most exciting year for the genre in a very long time. Darling in the Franxx is one of the most popular shows this season. Code Geass and Full Metal Panic are both getting sequels after over a decade, and Studio Trigger have even more mecha outings in the work. The genre is still very much around and could still thrive again. It's just
really
waiting.
Even...
Go on.
He's contradicting himself.
Sorry,
He's just saying random shit. He's just contradicting himself.
What was that? Roni? Hello?
I'm pretty sure Gridman is Tokusatsu, not Mecha.
Yes.
It's like Ultraman.
Yeah. It's a superhero transform into a giant thing.
Oh my god, this is stupid. Oh my god.
I can see how he would get confused. It is a little hard to grasp if you haven't actually watched it. So, yeah, gotta like those stories. I'm not a fan.
I watched Superhuman Samurai Squad when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Tokusatsu or Sentai. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's also a good point.
I will say it is hard to properly categorize some of these stories because they're so diverse. So I don't blame him for that, but it's like, all right, he doesn't. At that point in time, I don't think he watched it yet, so I'll give him a pass on that.
2 good points in chat before we continue or finish this up. Sorry for delaying it. Noah Chi says, "Darling in the Franxx? Gee, that didn't age well. Cringe." And Aiko Dreamer's popular does not equal good.
Mm-hmm. Look at World of Warcraft.
All right.
Big breakout hit to push it into an ongoing trend. Because without that show that brings in new blood into the mecha fandom the same way Code Geass, Evangelion and Gundam did before, it's likely the genre will fade more and more into obscurity. If that does happen though, if after all this it remains a shadow of its former self, it's a legacy that will never be forgotten.
I'm a bit confused here because Gundam has been the biggest franchise of anime. Like they just keeps inventing itself over and over again.
All I've seen here is that it's still going, and it's, as you say, it's still reinventing itself. There's still something new. There's still higher quality.
Yeah.
What is this guy talking about? 90% of the people watching anime aren't watching mecha. So what? 90% of the people watching anime aren't watching magical girl crap.
Or any other genre, really. Always say 30% is shonen because that's the usual demographic, but every other genre, rom-coms, action adventure, isekais, that just happen to be popular these days. What else? Horror? No, it's a pretty small genre. There's dozens. There's so much stuff.
It's influenced not only the culture of anime, but the culture...
Sorry?
There's also the fact that just because people who like Mecha, Gundam, and all that, they'll have family, friends. They can get other people into it. They don't have to necessarily have like a new show every year. You could just go to a friend's house, see what Gumball he built, and then you might get curious into looking into the series yourself, and then do that. You don't have to have a new show to keep people into this.
Yep.
There's more
Are
than
you
ways
building
to
a robot? That's awesome. I want a robot too.
Well, a lot of people who like the same things, or friends, tend to watch the same shows or recommend watching the same show or argue about which show sucks the most, or happens a lot with friends. So yeah, and it doesn't have to be current year that's new. It could be 20 years ago. There's some really good Gundams out there that I haven't watched yet. I might love. So, but that's like Gundam is gigantic. It's so big. Macross is pretty big too, but not as big as Gundam. And it's just a matter of time of me, having a break and saying, okay, what games am I not playing? Can I take a break from? What books have I stopped reading, or I'm not using all my leisure time? I could go watch a Japanese anime. It's been a while. Yeah, pick up a cool war story. That'd be great. I don't mind that. Why not?
Of the entire nation of Japan, and considering its instrumentality in the evolution of the medium of anime is concerned, it is one of the most important genres anime has ever had. A look into the history of mecha is a look into the history of anime itself, and whether you're aware of it or not, whether you consider yourself a mecha fan or flat out can't stand the idea, it's very likely that some of your favorite shows wouldn't exist without it. Because the same can be said for me. I never really saw the big appeal to them. Sure, there were shows I liked, but nothing pushed me over the edge to fully dive into the subculture it created. Look, I like technology as much as the next guy, but calm down lads, it's just an oversized tow truck with legs.
No, it is an oversized power armor.
He's an extension of the main character.
Right,
Fucking troglodyte.
Yeah, we talk about like exoskeletons.
Yes.
That's like proto-mecha. It's like this, okay, how can we roboticize war? And it's going to give yourself armor. What kind of armor? Really good armor. Makes you stronger, faster, more durable. That's the next step. And then we go further and further. Now, I don't know if we're ever going to get there. It sounds a bit bizarre that we'll have mecha in real life. It seems a bit over the top, a little inefficient for what you need it for. But it's fun to imagine these science fiction worlds where war has advanced to the point where you may have transforming mecha or bodysuits that are so resilient to weaponry. You need other mecha to fight against to be a superior force or to be a comparable force.
Yeah, I'm saying he's just saying random lines to extend the video.
But more importantly, the big thing that most of the mechas tackle at one point or another, and is a key part of the character's journey into manhood, is that they don't have to see the people they're killing.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting take. Yeah, because you don't see the people, you see the tank essentially. You just blow up the tank.
Yeah. There is very little infantry in a lot of the Gundam shows, and that works because that's kind of a key point, is that the children that are thrown into these mechs, the people that are shooting at them don't know they're children. Mm-hmm. And if they did, they wouldn't shoot at them.
And if you think of that from a military view, meaning of real life, if you can disable the other force's weapons, and let's say there's this weird safety feature where if you're about to be destroyed, you can eject. And people see that as, okay, you're exiting the battlefield. I'm destroying, or from whatever reason, whether it's superior forces or strategy, we've annihilated the enemy. There's no casualties because we've designed war to be that way, and now we have superiority over the battlefield. So we've won the war. No one has died, but we've eliminated like $250 million worth of equipment to prevent you from attacking our country or for us to advance on your country. That's a crazy idea that everything is now just this weird sort of, we're not scared of going to fight to the death, and we could very well die, but we've designed it so that is minimized. That is an interesting outlook. If we ever get to that level of force, that we would have that level of sensibility to say we don't want to die, but we still want to fight, and we believe in what we're doing, so we're going to fight in a certain way, not to cause death, even though technically that's what you could be doing.
That's what a lot of Gundam Wing was about, which Gundam 00 forgot, is that a lot of the anime is about the loss of the human part, like the human element in war, with the mechanization and automation, with the dolls.
And the mobile doll units.
Yeah, they turned those kids into killers that didn't think in Gundam Wing, I think, yeah.
They did, but as the show go on, a lot of the soldiers that take part in the anime gets phased out for mobile dolls, which are just automated machines. And they're not as good as the common soldier, but there's a lot more of them because you don't have to pay for the training for a soldier.
Right.
And that is a very interesting concept in Mecha, and that's only something Mecha really can explore.
Right.
That tank warfare and other more quote-unquote low technology forms of storytelling can't.
Which is a scary concept, which brings me back to some episodes of Star Trek, the original series, where we have all these proxy wars not fought with people, but fought with machines. And whether that involves throwing yourself into an incinerator as a result of a machine calculation, or just a bunch of drones fighting other drones. That's, again, these are all future science fiction concepts that we'll probably never see in definitely my lifetime. But it's fun to explore in these stories because that's what you do in science fiction. It's very, very cool.
And specifically for Gundam Wing, in the entirety of the war that takes place in the series, like for all the connected events, 700,000 people die. In total. 700,000. For comparison, half of the Earth's population and the space colonies' populations die in the original Gundam show halfway into the war.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculously low number of casualties when you're thinking about a world war, like a galactic war. Because mostly they're just fought with robots that aren't manned.
It is interesting. Like, these are ideas that science fiction authors do all the time. This is why they write these stories. And to put it in a visual sense is what makes these kinds of stories, or at least the genre of media for anime, which is mecha, interesting to see how much detail they give it. The mechanization, the way the missiles fly through the air, and the transformation poses, and it's a lot of effort. And combine that with a backstory and plot, and you have an entertaining afternoon. That's pretty cool compared to a rom-com or an isekai, or a guy goes and collects some elf roots and flirts with the big titty elf girl or whatever. Those are fine, but it's not as serious and important.
Garbage.
Yeah, that's fine. No, you could like whatever you like. I'm not going to judge you for whatever genre. I don't really care. But,
sure, I'm not gonna judge you for watching isekai. I will just be saying that you're watching junk food.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. It's not the most depth satisfying media out there, for sure.
Jameson also makes a good point, is that, I think a good show would cover targeting the weakest point in the system, the pilot, which is also a very good and common trope in mecha, is the benefit of disabling a robot versus killing the pilot, which Gundam Seed tried to do, quotations, but they never actually tackle the issue of the main character doesn't want to kill anyone, so he just disables the enemy's weapons. Meanwhile, his fucking comrades just gun the poor bastards down.
Yeah.
When they can't defend themselves. Okay, good job there, Kira.
Yeah.
You fucking monster.
Gundam Seed is special that way, yeah.
Special needs.
Yeah. All right, we got a minute and a half left.
was until I found myself standing in front of one in my latest trip to Japan. Here stood a full-size RX-0 Unicorn Gundam, 65 foot of pure awesome. Watching these things on TV is hard to get a perspective of just how big they are, but actually standing at the base, looking up at this metallic Goliath towering above you, walking around, imagining the gravity of force that would be exerted if this 49-ton beast could take a step, marveling at the thought of a literal fucking building running at you, it dawned on me why these things had been such a big part of anime history, why they've been there from the very beginning, and why they've become so symbolic for the medium we all love.
I like the fact that the conclusion to this 22 minutes of drivel is that this guy had very bad perception.
Mm-hmm. He showed us the animation where the giant robot steps onto the street and just the asphalt and ground just bursts into rubble. And he didn't get it from that?
No, he needs to be there in person.
I went to Japan.
To think he has some mental development problems.
Yeah, well, if I went to Japan,
there's some cognitive things not switched on.
Yeah, there's other interesting things in Japan to go to aside from seeing statues, but that's okay. That's fine. He likes what he likes. Or doesn't like what he likes. Or what we like, but, well, he saw it and he was impressed. It's like, okay.
He's very shallow. He's a very shallow person. That's what I get from all this.
This is like when you go see the statue of David and you just like take a picture and you're like, that's cool.
Oh no, it's totally changed my perception of the universe, Smud. Oh, come.
This is what a mecha looks like. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. I can compare the mech size to what looks like a train station in the background. Thank you. I did not need to stand right next to a 1-to-1 scale robot to get that sense of scale.
Yeah, well.
He can't imagine.
Gorgeous Rex says, I will admit standing at the foot of the statue would bring it home. Yes, it would, but it wouldn't be necessary for you to understand the size that you're working with.
Yeah, I don't. There's what is the cognitive function that he's lacking in that he needs that?
I don't know, and I don't want to judge him too harshly.
No, I'm not. It's not judgment. He's shown this throughout.
Well,
there's things he seems unable to do in his mind.
All right. Well, that's fine.
So he's just babbling crap.
It's fine. It's a subjective view. It's fine. He has to experience things firsthand. It's fine.
That's a child.
It's the same with not having watched the show. I bet like he hasn't watched some of these shows, so it's like, if I watch the show, I'll understand. It's like, yes, you hopefully will if you do watch the show.
Man, I would probably understand this plot point if I'd actually watched the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, buddy.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how media works.
Robots are fucking awesome. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I'm just going to do my shout out.
Not the anime. No, not the Eveth song. No, it's not.
No.
Good lord.
You need to stand in front of a giant robot to understand that giant robots are cool.
Yeah.
Well, you're not a man. You've never been a boy either.
Well, Spot, I hope you weren't betting on actually making money off of this video.
I thought it was going to be fun and relaxing. I was like, oh, what's he talking about? What's going on there? All right, we got lots of memes going. Okay, April 11th, here we go. This is from Goo Dragon. What are we watching here? Guy is splitting a planet in half with an axe of energy of some kind. Wow, he's splitting multiple. What am I watching? Does anyone know?
Getter Robo.
It's Ghetto? Okay. Wow.
Getter Robo.
Geta? Okay.
Guitar.
This is some sort of multiplayer online game?
Also Getter Robo.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, that's Get a Robo with Final Fantasy Tactics.
I liked the design. It seemed familiar.
It reminded me of Tactics, so I was like, that's not Tactics. Tactics different. Roses are red, violets are blue. Touch my Gundam, I will kill you. That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much him. But man can be alive again when he dies. What? But man can be alive again when he dies?
He's talking about the soul living on the robot.
Oh. Okay. If there's a hole, it's a guy's job to thrust into it. Well, okay.
Lessons for life.
That is dialogue.
Yeah.
Oh, now I remember how it went in Nadeshko. They had this. There was an in-universe mecha anime that that one character was a super fan of.
Yep. That's based off of Mazinga.
All right.
Yeah, and in the end, it kind of reflected the show. Oh, right. They made the Nadeshko movie. There's not just a Nadeshko movie. There is the Gekiganga movie that is the actual anime from inside Nadeshko.
Yep.
All right.
I've never watched that.
Here is the cover of... Oh, it's Viz. Mobile Police. Pat Libor. That was cool. I like that one. I think it was 4 or 5 episodes. It wasn't that long.
It has several series. What you're thinking about is probably the OVA.
Yeah. I don't know what this is. Does anyone know?
That's XJ9 or Jenny the robot from My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Yeah, that's cute.
Have not
But
seen
it was a Nickelodeon thing.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't know.
One of the better ones.
This is... it's Transformers. Okay.
Yep. I think
Star
Dunn.
Saber from Transformers Victory.
What is going on here? Someone's shooting a revolver?
I think it's just showing up the animation quality.
Yeah. Cool. Go on, call it Transformers or Power Rangers. I'll laugh when I find it funny. All right. I mean, I will.
I just wanted to have clear definitions.
If you can identify with Transformers and Gundam, that's totally fine. I don't mind what you call it.
Cecil Rockspinch Lovechild says it needs to have a colony fall to Earth to understand the popularity of Mecha.
Yeah.
Oof.
This reminds
That's too late.
This reminds me of Gingaman. He was talking about that mobile game that's all about mecha. And I think this is one of the cutscenes in it.
Oh, this is Super Robot Wars.
Oh.
A very, very popular crossover series with all kinds of mecha and pseudo-mecha.
Yeah. That's the game he was talking about. Those are the games I don't like because I want to play my games. I don't want to watch them.
Oh, no. It's a top-down strategy game, kind of like, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Really?
Yeah, it's not just a visual novel.
Yeah.
The things people post are usually just the attack animations.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, which you can opt to not watch if you want.
Good stuff. That time, the time Xeon got into wrestling. What the?
Oh yeah, Japanese wrestling is wild.
This is bamboo sticks. What the hell are they doing? These guys?
Those are all based off mobile suits.
Yeah, that's
they're all based off mobile suits called DOMs.
Yep, the Dom tree.
And those are heat rods.
Okay. Ah! We do a little trolling. What?
That's the colony drop on Sydney back in the original show.
Operation British.
Dear.
Yeah,
Seethe?
the UC timeline. Yeah, Australia doesn't exist anymore.
Oh yeah, that's what's the fucker's face?
Sirocco.
Sirocco, right? Sirocco.
I just call him Sirocco.
Yeah.
I could never say his first name.
Peptimus. Sirocco Peptimus. That's the fucker's face that gets fucking impaled at the end of the Zeta.
All right, that's pretty cool. You got light 'em up models there. It's pretty neat.
They have LEDs built in. It's awesome.
We all like mechs. I really like this Polish musketeer mech. Wow.
Iron Harvest is very, very civilized. Very good.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
I like the mech designs in the game.
What's this? Lego ER and Spud staring ate the commie monkey from yesterday intensely.
Is that Whisp in the back?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cute.
Who's the green guy? What the hell is
I
that?
like bears here. That's a cool head.
Oh my god.
That's a cool looking head.
Is the green guy Ronan?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
All right. Screaming geometric. Okay, that's.
What? That's what I did with the thing in the remake.
Is that Eva or is that Rosavon?
Yeah.
I think it's Eva, right?
That's Evangelion.
It's Ava.
I believe it's.
Is that in the
I
remake?
remember this. I can hear this.
That's from the movie.
The movie. That makes more sense. Okay.
I find it more compelling when it was just a diamond, not this thingy.
What's this guy's name again? Kaz? No, it's
Char.
Char. There we go.
No, that's Quattro Bacino. What are you talking about? No,
Yeah,
Totally
Crazy.
different guy.
I was thinking of Metal Gear Solid 5. I was like, what? No.
So today I was wondering why it's a vacuum out in space, and then I realized it's because I have sex.
Ah.
That's totally something he'd say.
This is
Devilman?
Devilman Crybaby? Yeah. And that's Eva. Wait. No, it's not.
End of Evangelion.
Yep.
No, it's not.
Yes, of course it is.
What the... Yeah.
Don't you remember this scene?
I don't want to. Stop it. Lego Mecha
Try
Lobster.
not to remind ourselves of it.
More mechs coming tomorrow. Yes, it's fighting LitDev and Shiny. What are you guys doing over on LitDev's server? Driving him crazy, I bet. All right, LitDev and Shiny. That's pretty much it. Okay.
Copper Alice is certainly a very interesting personality, making you guys into Lego characters.
Not an anime, but it's deeply inspired by all kinds of mecha anime.
It looks disgusting.
That looks neat.
Symbionic Titan. Okay.
I heard it's good.
The characters look horrible.
It's a weird art style. Yeah, it's kind of.
I'm down.
It is very short of this corporate crap.
It looks like it has a certain style to it. I'll probably have to check it out later.
It reminds me of Disney, but it's not quite along the same design. But yeah, it's fine. Me. That's great.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
I
that's
found that meme that Wisp was talking about.
I'm assuming that's Chuck
Yep.
Norris. I'm assuming it's
That's,
Chuck.
Yes.
Okay, good.
yeah.
Awesome. There is... Wow. What is going on?
It's
Ultraman can be tricky.
That
That's
is...
the ultimate
awesome.
reference.
That is really... Yeah, wow. I can't describe that.
Oh my god.
Oh, oh no, what is...
No way.
The references go deep, my friends.
I'm good. I'm good at being
So it's not
ignorant.
Christian references, it is Ultraman references that are Christian references.
I am ignorant, and I am happy. Happy. Xenoblade 2, I will watch that later. Thank you, Wisp. No problem. Wow, what a cool looking anime. Yeah. I hope it doesn't have every annoying story trope known to man and 12 recap episodes with 2 in a row that kill any remaining interest to continue watching. Is there filler episodes in Gundam?
In Gundam Seed, there are about 5 or 6 recap episodes back to back.
Okay, those are different, but I know what you mean. Okay, yeah. I don't remember watching filler, though, in like any of the Gundams I watched or any of the mecha I watched.
It's Destiny, so
There's
Yeah.
a couple of filler episodes in the original run of Gundam, but those all serve to characterize the world more so than anything. So
Yep. Okay, we're not clicking on that. 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 Okay, I will click on this. Castle in the Sky. That's totally fair. That's a classic. That's cool.
You really have been traumatized by Evangelion.
You know, there's things I tolerate, and I'm just like, I know it's coming. I'm just stopping as we're just not going that way. Jushin Liger anime. Jushin Liger has a biomecha that predates Eva and is created by the guy. Oh.
That's the guy that made Mazinga. I believe
Wow,
it is.
interesting. I love that 80s like sharp, poofy haircut by all the males you ever see. It's like, wow, they all adopted that hairstyle.
The amount of hairspray you need for that.
Yeah, I know. It's like they're always running or something.
Oh no, it was Mazinga, Get a Robo, UFO. Yeah.
That's a pretty cool model. What is that? The Never Forget Macross. It's hot looking. Yeah, Macross looks awesome. I love the transforming mechas in Macross. So cool. It's a jet and it's a biped mecha looking dude. I have severe mental health issues. Hey, look at it's the Eva show. Yeah, it's great.
At least you're dealing with it happily.
That is a partially transformed Macross ship, I think.
That's Macross, yeah, and I fucking hate it.
What people like to call
it looks like a very early distorted BattleTech mech.
Well, no, it's when they're landing and they're doing maneuvers. I really like that. It's cool.
It looks so goofy.
It does, but it's like it's partial, so it makes sense that it looks like a duck or something.
I really don't like it. I like the jets or the mecha. Either or. I don't like this crossover. It looks like a dog version. Like, you know how dogs are just degenerated to hell and back? This looks like the mecha version of that.
More with the little bent antenna on the top.
It's an inbred mecha.
Oh, here's Mark talking about Giguk videos. Giguk's not that bad. Come on.
His voice is the worst.
Indeed, Setsuna is Gundam. They just put his head on. Oh, God. An AMV, I love these mad AMVs. I'm just not going to watch them because they use copyright everything. So.
Oh, that's Get a Robo Armageddon, I believe.
Okay.
Nope, that's not.
This is Hello Kitty and what the?
Oh yeah, that's Hello Kitty and Gundam's crossover that happened at their anniversaries.
Okay. Here's the even bigger real life
statue.
Giant mech Gundam, which I will play later.
They actually got to actually move and walk.
I came to laugh at you. Ho, ho, ho. Why are we doing a puzzle when we could just buy a picture?
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
I don't know. Give the old folks.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point I was trying to make. Thank you. Amazing.
Give them something to do in their old age. Why not? Whoa, here we go.
Kind of stimulate the mind.
Okay, so here is. But is that a sin? Okay. Everyone has a different face. If you were given a geass, which of these would be your ability? To be loved. Oh, God.
Oh, this is a lot of geass memes.
Spirit,
oh, God, that's a lot of geass memes. Oh, Lord.
Spirit transfer, time stop. Was C2 having a problem with romance? I don't think so.
That's a stand ability.
Yeah.
I think I'm bailing here for tonight.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Fun?
Yep.
Good to have you on.
See you.
I had fun. And you guys, have a good day.
Alrighty. Take it easy.
Take care.
All right. Lelouch v. Britannia, the only man that can build an army, take over the world, die to bring peace to the world, and live to tell a tale. Yeah. Yeah, that was stupid.
Why are all these memes not landscape?
I don't know.
Why they all what?
Kira, oh no.
Are you sending us weird pictures from your phone?
Yeah, this is too. The font is too fuzzy for me to go through, guys. But I will take a gander at it later.
These.
Zero. I can't.
Oh, okay. Zoro posted these.
This is.
I can't read that. I'm sorry.
Please abandon this meme format.
September 28, 2008. Never forget. Anime Code Geass Lelouch of the Rebellion R2. Yeah.
How are these memes?
I don't know. 9/28. Never forget. What? September 28th. Never forget. What is, guys? This is the same thing over and over again. Every geass. Okay, cool. He knows everything about you. He can control you. He can kill you with just a look. Sorry, with just a book. If they join forces to take over the world, we are screwed. All right. Everybody loves stompy robots. Here is a king crab. Okay. Is that Mech Warrior? I'm not sure.
No idea.
Chunky German and chunky Japanese. Conflict 47.
It's a war game.
Yeah, I've never.
I like these samurai shoulder pads.
Interesting. Why do they have shoulder pads? Is someone splashing them from above?
Question is, why not?
No, I'm just gonna ignore all these Leload memes.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. I know you guys love the show, but I can't. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Okay, I mean. Da 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 da. Anime Immortals. Zamasu, CC, Alucard, Bon, Kaguya. Okay, Kaguya. Yu Yu Hakusho. Who is your favorite? I like C to my favorite heroes. What? Oh, is that the icon for the emote, I think, or the... Don't know. Guys, there's so many characters.
To assume he needs C2.
Yeah, there's so many wonderful characters in anime with that may be immortal. So
that's not a meme.
Yeah. A chess set for 3 players. What the hell? So Lelouch, L, and the guys from No Game No Life. I don't know, man. Too much.
There's No Game No Life.
Probably, yeah.
Siblings. Yeah.
Day 46, I have gained the Valkyrie's trust. They still do not know I am a Gundam. Haha. Yes. Awesome.
I wish LOL could have seen this.
Yes, exactly. I'm trying to remember which Gundam that is, though, that does that transformation. I think it might be in...
it's the Wing Zero.
Because the one in Gundam Double O is a jet as well. But I don't know if it does the partial transformation.
It attaches a jet.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't. It just takes the parts from the jet. The Wing Zero does the... Oh.
Yeah,
and then in its walls, they give him nice angel wings for some reason.
Yeah. Here's Mateus saying, of all those geese memes, yeah, we're not going to bother with that. Same vibe.
They're not memes.
Live, laugh, love. Tyler, say it? What?
I don't get this one.
Lib, larp, lub? Okay, cool. Anyway.
Oh, it's been redacted.
Holy hell. Time to call it a day, guys. That was...
Long.
Whew, that was long.
Mm-hmm.
Mark bailed, and we had our other gentleman Phil. So we gotta call it a night too. But thank you. That was Anime Day. Not as relaxing as much as I thought it would be, but we still had a good time. It's a fun topic, fun genre. I got some anime to watch and some memes or some YouTube videos to take a gander at. So thank you for all your suggestions. That was fun. Keep them coming. Tomorrow we should have other standard goofy crap to criticize and facepalm all the time. And thanks to Roni for coming on and having your wonderful commentary on all the stuff we don't know what we're talking about.
It's just Rome.
Yeah. as long as you're enjoying it. Yeah, I don't mind it. We could.
Apologies.
Yeah, no, it's okay. This is not my favorite genre. I do like watching some, and it's my memory of all these things is not as good as others because they're so old. And we all have our preferences. I like Across the most, just because I just think it works for me. And other people like certain flavors of Gundam, and some people hate certain flavors of Gundam. So, and Razafon is cool, but it's goofy as hell at times. There's so much. There's so much in the genres that you might surprisingly find something you enjoy. And talk to your friends. Talk to your.
Surprised we didn't even talk about Zoids.
Yeah, no. Talk to people in the Discord. They have all kinds of different opinions. The guys in chat know more than I do. Like, holy jeez, all those references they know off the top of their heads. That's awesome. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I gotta go get a drink, relax. Everyone should do that too. Take it easy. Have a good Monday evening, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Night.